The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Trywire.com. Kick high prices to the curb. Drive away with huge savings. The fastest goals. The experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Full time at Tannadice and Celtic are champions. They're huddled behind the board with the league branding on it. They're celebrating. Jota's in crutches, but he's coming over to join the party. Brendan Rodgers sitting in the background, and it is party time at Tannadice. Hugh Keevins, champions again. We've known for months and months and months that this would be the case, but now that they're over the line, how would you sum it up?
I would sum it up by saying that Brendan Rodgers is synonymous with success for Celtic. He has been a fantastic manager on 2 occasions for the club, and he has taken this group of players, added to it, made Celtic a side to be admired. People call it tedious. People say that this is getting boring now. Not if you're Celtic. Celtic have an obligation to Celtic, and they entertain their fans, and they've scored 102 goals so far, and for the third game in a row they've scored 5 goals after that defeat in Perth. They are giving their all for the club and for the manager. The manager is giving his all for his employers. That's why when Brendan Rodgers meets Dermot Desmond in the summertime, Dermot Desmond must ask Brendan Rodgers if he is interested in extending his contract beyond next season.
Champions again, sing the Celtic fans. Mark Wilson, how would you sum this one up?
Well, once again, an outstanding season, and I have to take Europe into that as well. The adventures in that, and how well they've done and pitted themselves against Bayern Munich. But the league is always your bread and butter, and the consistency shown. Their 34th game, their 27th win. Okay, it's not been invincible, but that is the standard that Brendan Rodgers set first time around. He is an elite manager who, in his second spell, has shown that he can handle the pressure that was on his shoulders when he came back to the club again to fill the space left by Ange Postecoglou. He's evolved the squad as well. He has made them play in different ways when needed, but ultimately gets the job done. I don't think it's tedious at all, and I think today's performance shows the variety in their play that has to be admired, like Hugh says.
Yeah, I agree with the lads. You can't heap enough praise on them, Gordon, throughout the season. They've had their moments, you always do that, but Hugh touched on it there. The last 3 games, they've just been a cut above. Even today, the minute they get the first goal, you think, how many is it going to be? The fans are up there in numbers, players are celebrating, quite rightly so. It's a long, hard season, and they've done it in style. I thought it would have been a lot harder today. They didn't go off to the best start, but this Celtic team, they just know how to get through the gears, and I thought it was a very good performance.
Yeah, Roger Hanna, they've done it in various ways over the years. They've won so many of these that you've kind of seen it all, but that shouldn't take away from just how consistent they've been this time around.
No, you're absolutely right, Gordon. Congratulations to Celtic. I'll give you a few stats. 5 goals, as you were saying, again for the 3rd straight week. 4 titles in a row, 18 points clear, 16 goals in the league, leading by Dyson Maida. 55 league titles. They've used 31 players, Gordon, and if you can name them all, I'll be enormously impressed. James Forrest, 26 winners' medals, a club record. Callum McGregor hot in his heels with 24, and now there's a 9th treble on the horizon. Brendan Rodgers is correct. This is a golden era for Celtic Football Club. They may face a revitalised challenge with 49ers back Rangers next season, but that's a discussion for another day, Gordon. Today's about Celtic, today's about Brendan Rodgers, and today is about the players who have dominated Scottish football again this season. They have been streets ahead of everyone else this season. I'm down at Kilmarnock today, and I'm just reminded of the quotes from Derek McInnes after Killie lost 5-1 at Parkhead a couple of weeks ago. When Celtic play like that, there's not a team in the country can touch them, and Brendan Rodgers will intend that remains the case next season.
Yeah, David Field, I suppose you could look at today as sort of representative of the whole season Celtic have had. It is a difficult place to go. This won't change how good a season Dundee United have had. They didn't even perform badly for the entire 90 minutes, and yet Celtic win 5-0 and wrap up another title.
Yeah, Gordon, and look, Brendan Rodgers has been a serial winner over 2 spells at Celtic, but I just felt he came back this season with a bit of a point to prove, and I know that might sound a bit strange given that Celtic won a double last year, but obviously there was kind of issues when he maybe came back, and he probably wasn't himself, and I don't think his team were in his image. But I felt from pre-season this year, and look, Mark will know you can't always read in to pre-seasons at Celtic, because some of the best ones have led to no trophies and vice versa. But Celtic went to America, they put 4 past Chelsea, they put 4 past Manchester City. Okay, maybe shadow teams, but just the way Celtic played from the start of the season, they just looked slicker, they looked more in tune with what Brendan Rodgers wanted. And I think they started the season, 14 wins out of 15 in the league. They've been scoring goals, they've had some standout players, Daisen Maeda, Nicholas Kuhn, but also Callum McGregor, who I think has been so important again for Celtic. So I think it's a triumph for all of them, but everything starts from the manager. And as Hugh said, he's going to be so important for Celtic going forward.
Yeah, Fraser Wishart, how would you sum up this one in terms of what's jumped out for you or what's impressed you over the course?
Oh, everything's impressed you for Celtic from the game one. Congratulations to everybody at Celtic Park for winning yet another title, way ahead of the rest. Pretty ominous for the rest of the league and for Rangers, because they've just been terrific. They were good last year, very good last year. And then Brendan Rodgers put a wee bit of pressure on the board. The fans are putting pressure on the board to sign some players, and they did. And they signed Trusty, they signed Ida, they signed Engels. And apart from Engels has now begun to get into his stride, but the other two have been bit part players, in and out, in and out. It's the other players that have stepped up and become better, if you like. Nicholas Kuhn's already there, been outstanding. Maeda, everybody talks about him. He's been a wonderful this season. Callum McGregor, for me, is still the key man. I agree with David Frail. He's retired from Scotland, and he's still the guy that makes everything happen for Celtic. And I was struck by Callum McGregor's face, just looking at the pictures from Tannadice, the joy that is there for Callum McGregor. James Forrest, experienced players. Winning never ever gets boring, and they never take it for granted. So yet again this summer, Celtic will strengthen again. They'll sign new players, they'll become better, and the challenge is for Rangers, can they close that gap over one transfer window with new owners? Probably not, but it's ominous for the rest, and Celtic are just going to get better and better. And after this year in Europe as well, there'll be an expectation for them to do better and play even better next season. So all good for Celtic. They're miles ahead of the rest, and they'll celebrate long into the night, and thoroughly deserved.
Yes, congratulations once again to Celtic. Plenty more reaction to come. We will hear from Brendan Rodgers. I'm sure we'll hear from some Celtic players as well. And of course it's a Saturday, so later on we will hear from you. In the meantime, let's go round the rest of the grounds and find out what lies ahead in the Scottish Premiership. We'll do that when we return. Just a quick word from our podcast sponsors, Wire, the best way to own an electric vehicle. Wire is a car purchasing platform that only sells 100% electric vehicles. So they'll walk you through the process of selecting a fully electric car that meets both your needs and your desires. Wire prove that virtually every car buyer can go electric today. They've got affordable options, saving you thousands on your next car through the Salary Boost scheme. The scheme makes purchasing an electric vehicle a sensible financial decision. Make sure you check out trywire.com for more information and how you can sign up. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Scottish football's league leader. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Celebrations continuing at Tannadice. Celtic have won another title. They've swept Dundee United aside today, scoring 5, conceding none. Brendan Rodgers and his players lapping up the acclaim of the Celtic fans. We'll give you his reaction when we can. It won't be too far away, and we'll continue the reaction throughout the afternoon. Tweet us your thoughts right now at Clyde SSB, and of course we'll open the phone lines a bit later on. Let's go around the rest of the grounds. Barry Ferguson yesterday, Andrew McLean said he hopes this one does hurt the Rangers players. He hopes this is, although it's been in the works for a while, everybody knew Celtic would be champions. The day that it's wrapped up should be a reminder of where Rangers need to get to, and they start today to end this season in somewhat of a high, whatever that means, away to St Mirren.
Yeah, well, you said it there. Rangers knew this day was coming. League title confirmed for Celtic. Another season for Rangers. Just watching on when the celebrations and those trophy lifts come around. And it is an all too familiar feeling for Rangers, isn't it? Over the past decade plus, with the way that Celtic have been going, something has got to change at Rangers. Barry Ferguson knows it. The supporters know it as well. Barry Ferguson saying yesterday that he thinks he can be the man to help get Rangers back to where he thinks they should be, but the decision for that will lie in the hands of the prospective new American owners and new sporting director Kevin Thelwell. All Ferguson can really do now is try and get this team winning consistently up until the end of the season. 5 games to go until the end of the campaign. He says they need to be targeting winning all 5. It's not that easy though, is it? Wins are hard to come by, especially against St Mirren, because Rangers have lost their last 2 to the Buddies, who have had a fantastic few weeks, sealing their top 6 spot for a 3rd consecutive time. Another just bit of evidence to show how good a job Stephen Robinson is doing with St Mirren. The fans absolutely love him here. Europe very unlikely for them this season though. They need to take a minimum of 10 points, I think it is, from their next 5 games to try and get there, but top 6 is still a very, very good achievement nonetheless. Stephen Robinson saying that this top 6 is the best achievement in his time at St Mirren, probably in his managerial career as well. The Rangers fans are singing, they're starting to get a bit lively, but deep down they know that this is not what they want from their team. They don't want to be turning up on days like this when titles are clinched, and they are nowhere near it whatsoever. What can Rangers do today though to try and help take a little bit of the sting out? But it won't really, will it, no matter what the result is today. Just looking at the team news, Zach Hemming in goal for St Mirren. The back 5, Ryan Alabiosu, Marcus Fraser, Alex Gogic, Richard Taylor and Declan John. The midfield 3, Mark O'Hara, Caelan Boyd-Muntz and Killian Phillips. It's Mikael Mandron partnering Jonah Ayunga up top. Of course, no Toyosi Olasanya. He got his move to the MLS during the break that St Mirren had there, and they did well actually to get a 6-figure fee for him, despite the fact that there's only really 3 or 4 working weeks left of the season and his contract was up at the end of the campaign. The substitutes for them are Minsky, Yakoviti, Tanzer, Smith, Kilty, McMenamin, Idowu, Iseni and Scott. 4 changes for Rangers after going away to Athletic Bilbao. Balogun, Yilmaz, Hadji and Cherny drop out. Insiala, Proper, Rice and Egaman are in. So it's Liam Kelly in goal. The back 5, James Tavernier, John Suter, Robin Proper, Clinton Insiala and Jeff Day. The midfield 3, Nicholas Raskin, Mohamed Diamandi and Bailey Rice. Cyril Dessers partnering Hamza Egaman up top. The substitutes: Butland, Cortez, Barron, Barami, Cherny, Hadji, Curtis, McCallion and Danilo. The referee in Paisley today is Colin Stephen and the VAR is Grant Irvin.
Let's hear from both managers then, starting with Stephen Robinson.
To do that 3 times in a season is unheard of. I think it's 45 years since we last done that at this football club. It's certainly an incentive. Our fans will want it as well, and we won't be turning up and thinking it's a holiday. That's not the way I work. The pressure that we have on us is that the season isn't over. The players have had lots of plaudits, rightly so, but now it's time to finish the season off and end on a real high. And until somebody tells me officially, points wise, we can't get into Europe, then we will certainly be going and trying.
This week's been pretty positive. I've given them a challenge. We've got 5 games to go and I want 15 points. I'm clear on that. They understand that, and the training week's been really good this week. So we're going to a place where it's going to be difficult. We know that they're a very well organised team. In my opinion, they've got some very good players and a very good manager. So we'll expect a tough game.
An interesting one that in Paisley then. On paper it's the game that's got the least riding on it in terms of league positions or achievement or anything like that, but you can always find a way of finding some interest within those matches, and there definitely will be that in Paisley. Let's go to the ones though that are nervy. Killie, Ross County, Roger Hannah. I wonder if the nerves will play out this afternoon.
Yeah, very possibly. Kilmarnock probably more nervous, I would say, than Ross County. This seems to be an annual event for Ross County, scrabbling away at the bottom once we get after the bottom 6 split. And they've made a good success out of it in recent seasons. But Killie, if you remember, this time last year they were in the top 6. They were sparkling under Derek McInnes, and their descent this season has been one of the surprises of the bottom 6. They've lost 3 times to County this season. That will be in the back of their minds as they come into this game as well, and it'll be fascinating to see whether they can make a bright start on this slick pitch. The rain's coming down here down in Ayrshire Gordon. The pitch should be good. There really should be no excuses for Kilmarnock this afternoon. They've listed quite an attack-minded side. A couple of strikers, Bruce Anderson and Bobby Wales there. Kyle Vassell, as we said earlier, club captains back on the bench with the likes of Marley Watkins and Innes Cameron, young David Watson. So there's plenty of firepower there for Killie if they can get going. And if they don't, you just wonder what this bottom 6 fixture list is going to hold. You wonder what Dundee will get David Friel's game at Tynecastle today, because they're only a point behind this pair. And you wonder if a point apiece here might be regarded as a good day's work if Dundee were to lose at Tynecastle.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. Even if the fans involved aren't, it's a bit easier on the outside. Fraser Wishart, it's difficult to know for sure, but do you think everyone gets that feeling that if St Johnstone were to lose today, maybe even then adding another result or two going against them in whatever shape or form, this would be the end? Do they have to win this one to keep it alive?
Yeah, I think they have to go and try and win every game, Gordon, but I think you're right, today is going to be a pivotal day. I think in the bottom six, St Johnstone just have to go for wins. Draws are no good, 6 points adrift of Dundee. We're talking there, it's dependent on other teams. If Dundee get a result, to get a point or get a win at Tynecastle, then I do think it'll be all over. So Simon Valakari is going for it. I mean, his team is so attacking, and the outcome of today's game might be which makeshift defence plays the best, because there's hardly a recognised centre half on the pitch. There's Balladonis, who I think will wear a mask today, and Dan Casey at the other end. The rest of them are full-backs or midfield players tucked in. So you have to say that I think it could be an open game. But Simon Valakari is certainly going for it. He's going with two wingers as wing backs. He's going with three forwards. Graham Carey's in centre midfield. So they've got plenty of attacking options. It might just be at the other end. I think from Motherwell's point of view, a win today, no matter what else happens, it'll pretty much settle that they won't be in the playoff place. I think for me, I don't think if you get to 42 points, all the teams below them are going to take over them. So they need a win. But it's when you get it, because if they lose today, the morale would be low, losing to St Johnstone, and if the other teams below them pick up the points, it just adds to the pressure for next week. I do think Motherwell will get there. I think Motherwell will win this game, and that will just settle the nerves of the fans around here. But I think we're in for an entertaining 90 minutes. I think there'll be a few goals here at first part today.
Different type of pressure on Neil Critchley, David. You know, there certainly would take a spectacular collapse for Hearts to be in trouble, but he could be doing with just finishing this season strongly, couldn't he?
Yeah, it's about results, but it's also about performance. I mean, we're still 10 minutes to go. It's a decent crowd here. This place is going to fill up, and it's going to be an expectant crowd. Gordon, as we were speaking about earlier on, Hearts just haven't delivered. They haven't delivered enough in big games, but they haven't also delivered just enough in the bread and butter games that you would expect them to be winning easily. He's got his problems today. James Wilson will be a miss. I think Lawrence Shankland this season has maybe been mismanaged to an extent in terms of his possession. He's obviously not hit the form as well, but will be a loss too. So I don't see much firepower in the Hearts team, I must be honest with you. Obviously Elton Kabangu up front, but there's going to be a big onus on Blair Spittle and Sander Khartoum to go and support him. But they're playing against a Dundee team who cannot keep a clean sheet. They've only got one clean sheet on the road all season. As I said earlier, 71 goals they've conceded. To put that into perspective, no other team in the Premiership has conceded over 60. So Hearts should be going here to score goals. However, Dundee with an attacking lineup as well. You know, Fraser's talking about the attacking teams at Fir Park. I mean, Simon Murray, Lyle Cameron, Seb Palmer, Holden, Scott Tiffany. Dundee are going to have a go. They have to have a go because they just can't keep clean sheets. So should be entertaining, but a big crowd here expecting a Hearts win.
Yeah, really looking forward to that one for sure. Aberdeen against Hibs, Dave Galloway. They'll now both know Dundee United have been beaten convincingly. I suppose they maybe expected Dundee to lose anyway, but just a massive game going into this one at Pittodrie.
Yeah, absolutely, Gordon, and a crowd close to capacity is anticipated. The away section has actually been made smaller to fit more Dons fans in. Hibs have been restricted to about 700 tickets. The atmosphere building up very nicely. This one is a good shout for game of the weekend, Gordon. There's so much resting on it. Aberdeen, I was there last weekend at Hampden. They were very unconvincing in that dramatic Scottish Cup semi-final win over Hearts, and they will really need to do much better to break Hibs' club equalling records unbeaten league run. But they got the job done nonetheless, and they're on a decent run themselves. Just one defeat in 11 games. Hibs, what can you say about them? Really on a roll. It was great to see David Gray given that contract extension recently. They play some really good football. It's pleasing on the eye. They're scoring goals, and also they've enjoyed 3 successive clean sheets, which is very, very important. Highby's players, incidentally, today, they will wear black armbands in tribute to former keeper Jim Herriott, who has sadly passed away at the age of 85.
Really looking forward to all the action today. Every single game. Listening to Dave Galloway, those teams battling at the right end. European places, third up for grabs. Hearts, Neil Critchley under a bit of pressure. Dundee trying to stay in the division. Motherwell might be looking over their shoulder, and St Johnstone need something quickly if they're going to climb. St Mirren, they might be the only ones that are in party mode and have a relaxed end to the season. But for Barry Ferguson, he wants to keep standards high at Rangers. And Killie and Ross County, I can feel the nerves from here. We'll get it all underway when we return.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
The dust settling on the day at Tannadice, but Celtic players still celebrating in the changing rooms, champagne flowing everywhere. They are champions again, and we will hear from Brendan Rodgers very soon indeed. So well done to Celtic once again. We've got huge games though kicking off right now at 3 o'clock. Not only the Premiership, the Championship as well, that we've not even covered off yet. So looking forward to it all. Let's get it started with some Premiership predictions from you lot.
Well, I'll take Rangers to beat St Mirren, Aberdeen Hibs a draw, Kilmarnock to beat Ross County, Motherwell to beat St Johnstone, and Hearts to beat Dundee.
I'll go Rangers to win against St Mirren. I think Hibs will nick it up at Pittodrie. It will be a draw at Rugby Park. Motherwell to beat St Johnstone, Hearts to beat Dundee.
I think I'm going Rangers. I think it'll be tight. I'm going Aberdeen Hibs draw. Here's my big one today. I'm going Ross County down at Kilmarnock Park.
Ooh.
Rugby Park. I'm going St Johnstone at Fir Park, and I'm going Hearts.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Planning your holiday? Get essential health advice and medication before you travel.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. There is tension everywhere, Hugh Keevins. This is what the post-split fixtures are all about.
Yeah, tension everywhere, I can understand. At St Mirren though, it's a bit attitude.
Sure.
There's no tension. Rangers are now officially second. St Mirren, there's a little club distinction there. If they can have 3 victories over Rangers in a single season for the first time in 45 years. But it's the approach, the attitude that the Rangers players show in the wake of Celtic 5, Dundee United 0. Elsewhere, you're right. What a weekend it could be for David Gray. Contract extension to be Hibs manager. If he beats Aberdeen, major weekend for him. Kilmarnock and Ross County, 2 bad lots if we've been perfectly honest. Kilmarnock have lost 4 of their last 6. Ross County have lost 5 of their last 6. They're in a dreadful state, the pair of them. Motherwell, St Johnstone, I just think St Johnstone have gone, and Celtic took care of them last week in the Cup. I think they've gone, and Motherwell will get through that one. But Hearts and Dundee, that's intrigue central for me, because they're bottom 6, they're out of the Cup, they're blaming everyone for that except themselves, and if they go down at home, their supporters will really let them know all about it.
I only think St Johnstone are gone if they lose today. They need to win. And just listen to the Motherwell team, the injuries, everything about them, Gordon. I've just got a bad feeling about it, because I don't think St Johnstone are as bad as what everybody makes out. I know you can say, let's point at the league table, let's point at the points, but on their game against the bottom 6, they can win any game at all.
It's funny because I'll admit this might be a kind of personal anxiety attached to this, Mark, but I think I know what Gordon means. I think St Johnstone might be suited to winning games like this. I also take Hughes coming from. They're 5 points adrift at the bottom, and they're favourites to go down. Put it this way, I don't think many Motherwell fans going to Fir Park today will think we'll be fine here today. I just don't see it.
So much tension around the place, and that obviously.
Do you don't think they're quite well suited to it as well,
St Johnstone,
because of the way that they play? Like they stick to it, and it's never going to be good enough when they come up against the good teams who can hurt them. Can this Motherwell team hurt them the way that others do?
Well, that's a big question. And St Johnstone, I said when Valakari came in, he certainly made a difference, and he certainly added to their squad, and there's 1 or 2 players in there that can cause Motherwell problems, no doubt about that. That's going to be a tense occasion today at Fir Park. Struggling to call it. I went for Motherwell when you asked me, but it's going to be tight.
Half-hearted penalty appeal for St Mirren. Killian Phillips goes down, didn't look much in it, and nothing comes of it in the end. 2 Ross County corners inside the first minute at Rugby Park as well. told us what?
Down at Kilmarnock Park.
Ross County. Down at Kilmarnock Park next to Rugby Park.
Why do other teams not just call their stadium that?
Kilmarnock Park.
Oh, you get Celtic Park, Kilmarnock Park.
That's boring.
Rangers Park. Just keep it on the park.
Hold on. We need to look at the Championship. Are we saying that we're big Morton supporters this afternoon?
100% we're Morton supporters. Come on, Morton.
Yeah, we should look at the Championship as well.
Did we not send anybody there?
Let's remind ourselves of the picture after last night. Mark Wilson and co, a famous win against Falkirk, meaning that Falkirk have still got a lot of work to do to try and win the Championship and get promotion. Partick Thistle go 3 points clear of Wraith Rovers in the last playoff spot. But that's why Gordon Dale's alluding to the fact that it's Wraith Rovers Morton today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big one. Wraith obviously beat Falkirk last week. They were behind for so much of that game, then scored 3 goals in about 5 minutes to win that. So that was a big win for them, and they'll be looking for the same again. They've been on a great run, but Morton will be looking to finish the season strongly. So if Morton win, then that'll.
Do you know, I've got to say, Mark, I'm got to burst your bubble. I fancy Wraith to get 6 points in the next 2 games. They've got Morton at home and Queen's Park at Hampden. I fancy 6 points.
Well,
puts a bit of pressure on this man standing, and I love to see his face.
The league's too unpredictable for that, I think. I mean, to be perfectly fair, when Stuart Bannigan went off last night for Partick Thistle, they were bang up against it.
But they've got
and 1-2-1.
Marky Mourinho in the dugout. He knew how to change it against 11v10. I told him it's always harder to play against 10 men.
You did. You know what? You were going through my mind at that
you.
stage. You were also going through my mind when you would say you would play 2 up front, even when you went down to 10 men.
Okay, there's a problem. There's a problem. Can we? That is the worst episode of Live Rate. He's just choked and spat his coffee all over. This was a once proud radio show. It's been going for years on a Saturday afternoon. The staple for people to tune in, find out the score. He spat his coffee all over Mark Wilson's jacket.
That's nice.
In the studio.
What's wrong? This man's just absolutely killed me. That was everything in the timing.
I wouldn't be donating your body to medical science, you know.
Oh God.
Oh, and here's a double blow for you. I know what's coming.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Motherwell 0, St Johnstone 1. We just spoke about it. St Johnstone have that attacking team. They've got players at the top end of the pitch that can hurt, and they have scored early on. It was a cross from the left hand side, converted inside the box by Mackenzie Kirk, who has looked dangerous. A really, really good finish, and they take the lead at Fir Park.
I was going to give Mackenzie Kirk a mention just when I said that they have players that can hurt you, and what about his goal last week? I was ruled out. So he's a player high in confidence, and what a big goal that could be. Fast start for St Johnstone. Motherwell bang up against it.
I said St Johnstone. I said that. I've got a funny feeling for him. I think that it could be a big afternoon for him. If they can win at Fir Park, we're all expecting Hearts to beat Dundee, and all of a sudden it's very, very nervous times down the bottom of the league.
Yeah, Motherwell probably just looking for that 1 point that keeps them up, Gordon, but that's always a dangerous place to be, really, isn't it? We've seen that before.
Yeah, look, they've lost an early goal, so there's still plenty of time in this game. You know St Johnstone will give you up chances, but they're always a threat at the other end as well, Gordon. So Motherwell just need to be careful. No panics yet, but just keep themselves in this game.
I don't know, I take your point, there is a long way to go, but the first goal between these teams tends to be really quite important, doesn't it? And when you look at Motherwell in recent weeks, they just don't score many.
Yeah, did St Johnstone went back to back with Motherwell at McDermott?
That was the end at Stuart Kettlewell's era, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they'll fancy their chances, and as I say, they've got a threat through the middle. They can score goals. Mackenzie Kirk, as we talked about, Mark said there last week, what a goal he scored, obviously disallowed, but he's a real threat.
Let me tell you the big score. League champions Clydebank got their trophy today. They're now 4 up against Glenafton as they approach the Lowland League next season. Well done, the Baggies.
Well done indeed. Don't forget, reaction to come from Celtic's title win. Brendan Rodgers will be enjoying the champagne, I think. Then we'll hear from him. No goals yet in the Championship. If we can tear Mark Wilson's eyes away from it for a couple of minutes. What did you make of last night then? Any complaints about the red card your guys received, Stuart Bannigan?
If I'm honest, probably not. First one certainly a booting. Second one maybe a touch off, but still you can't probably tackle like that when you're on a booting. So no, none at all. I've got to say, I didn't think the Falkirk one was a sending off. I didn't think at the time it was a sending off, and then having seen it again, so a wee bit of fortune goes in our favour. And at that time that does change the game, because it's all one way traffic at that point, and we are trying to just make it difficult for Falkirk. But as soon as it goes 10v10 and we've got every intention of winning the game, that's when we change things a wee bit, and we're lucky enough to get the goal right at the end. It's always good when you get at the last actual kick of the ball, and the fourth official said to me, that's it, there is no more time, even when they take centre. It's always a big relief.
The last kick was a header.
Yeah.
Well, he's a busy man, Matthew McDermott, who gave that red card for Falkirk last night, because he's the VAR in Paisley. Well, he's not just in Paisley, because he'll be in Clydesdale House, but nevertheless.
Your man Stuart Bannigan, he'll need to calm down. Those were his 13th and 14th bookings of the season last night.
He doesn't hang about. He just came back from a 2-game suspension as well, where the team misses him. He's such a top player at that level.
I'd love to get your thoughts on Michael Vimmer's touchside attire. Someone sent me a picture of it today.
Nice.
I just can't see you in that. It's jeans first and foremost.
Don't like it.
And a sort of, I don't know what colour you'd call that. I'm colourblind, remember, but maybe some sort
of. Are you? You're colourblind?
Well, loosely. Some sort of clay, kind of light grey coloured Canada Goose jacket, we kind of cagoule thing.
Let's see. We got it.
I'll find it for you in a second.
I'm not having that. You
a jeans?
Nah.
Standards.
You're a guy that sets the standards there. Look, I know it's completely different from my time with the sharp Hugo Boss suits and stuff like that.
There was nothing sharp about it.
Big baggy
parachutes,
the baggy tracksuits.
Hugh, you ready to do your first half teaser?
I am.
Let's do it. Oh my goodness, the buttons are all over the place. Let's do it, come on.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Can you name the last 3 Celtic and the last 3 Rangers players to score post-split league goals who are no longer at the club? Can you name the last 3 Celtic players and the last 3 Rangers players to score post-split league goals who are no longer at the club?
And it doesn't include loans, it's just permanent sort of moves only. I quite like that one. So let's see what you can come up with at Clyde SSB. It is a race, you need to do it faster than everyone else, so get in and let us know at Clyde SSB. Any more goals to tell us about? Inverness 1 or both 0 in League 1, or both have already won the league though, so I don't think they'll care. And nothing else doing at the moment.
No.
The Seagulls.
My grandson won a League Cup with his team last week, and he's away to Brighton today to see them play.
Well, the Seagulls are having a good day. One's away with my lunch and they're off to a good start.
I hope they're really enjoying that pastry that they nicked off you.
I was honestly devastated.
They're lethal in that car park.
But seagulls live by the sea.
It's a good point.
I don't think they're called seagulls, they're just gulls. Do you know that?
Clyde gulls.
Yeah. Well, you get the River Clyde.
You call them seagulls, but they're gulls.
The River Clyde's down at the bottom of the road.
Topi Keskinen goes round the goalkeeper. The ball cleared off the line, but the flag was up. Liam Kelly's just done well. He had to claw across away before it got to the head of Jonah Ayunga. So a fairly low-key start in Paisley.
A low-key start by Rangers, but St Mirren had a penalty claim, and now you're describing that chance there. I just wondered, for me, the whole day for Rangers is about attitude. How bothered are these players going to be and show
I think because Barry's in charge, I think he'll try and demand that, Hugh. I know what you're saying. And also, there's a big game coming up next week that everybody wants to play in, because it's the best game in the world to play in. And you want to be starting that, especially at home, especially after the feeling of winning the last one at Celtic Park, especially the fact that Celtic are coming crowned champions. So I'm not going to go down the road and say, well, I'll question their atmosphere, their attitude. But St Mirren will make it difficult, no doubt.
Well,
any other goals going in? Not yet. There was a full-time Chelsea 1, Everton 0 from the English Premier League earlier, but nothing much. A fairly quiet opening to the day.
And the only goal we've got would have to be against your team.
Do you know what? I don't take any pride in it, but I think Gordon Dalziel and I would try to tell you.
So what you're making then, Michael Wimmer, so far?
I think you have to be honest and say that obviously you cut him some slack. It's not his players, and he's not long in the door, and he's still got injuries and so on. But Ibrox aside, there's been very little.
Yeah, that's a standout performance
to shout about.
It was
magnificent. It's the only one.
Tactically, it was great, but it's just not worked in the other games. So I think for Wimmer, you do need a pre-season to
100%.
really just work in
no doubt about it.
Those ideas. Never mind signings. If you've got Motherwell make a lot of signings, even if they do or they don't, he needs time.
We'll have to trim the squad first of all, because they've got about 35
of course players. Yeah, big summer then ahead for them.
I'm with you, Gordon. I think that, you know, he's not hit the ground running, has he? Yeah, let's be honest about it. But you've got to be fair on the guy. It's not his players, it's not his team. He has to get to the end of the season, get his own ideas over, and mark
quite stay up first though.
I think they will. I think they will, as Ayr United go 1-up against Queen's Park. Jamie Murphy
still plugging away at Jamie Murphy.
And fair play to Ayr, because they are they've got nothing to play for. They do need to. I suppose you want to try and get into the playoffs with a bit of good form behind you, don't you?
Of course. I think Scott will be disappointed in the last couple of weeks how things have panned out, because they were genuine title contenders at one stage, fell behind, then the race for second was on, but Livingston obviously took care of them last week, so been a wee bit of a disappointment. But certainly in the playoffs, you'll look to drum up that atmosphere again, and it's almost seen just like a cup competition.
Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, has Queen's Park appointed a manager yet?
No, not yet.
No, this is caretaker.
So still Stevie McLean's in charge, along with Sean Crichton, I think. This is number 2.
If you don't get the Thistle job, you apply for it. You feel like you've mastered the
championship.
You're making a big name for yourself in this game.
The results as they come in highlight the kind of season Rangers have had. Motherwell, you said the only performance that they've had under Michael Wimmer, Ibrox beat Rangers. Ayr United beating Queen's Park in free fall, only result they had, beating Rangers at Ibrox. That's why the fresh investment is so necessary. That's why the 49ers and Andrew Kavanagh are crucial to Rangers' future.
A big chance for Elton Cabangu. McCart finds him inside the box, but he pulls it wide. They were very unsettled, grumpy, should we say, for the Hearts fans earlier on, moaning at everything. But they're starting to calm down a bit and should have hit the target. They are, Elton Cabangu.
Well, as I say, the club is just one long anxiety attack there, where the supporters are concerned. They really have not taken to Neil Critchley. They certainly have not taken to the results. Bottom 6 out of the cup, and they have not taken to the club making excuses, blaming everyone except themselves. And the KMI panel, for example, in the week, saying that the decision that John Beaton took to send off Michael Steinbender was absolutely correct. So, move on.
I think the more telling one, I'm sure you all cancelled your Friday night plans to watch the VAR review last night, but was more on the second one, because that's the one that really annoyed Hearts, the second booking to Cammy Devlin. And of course it's a second booking, so VAR can't get involved, but I think Willie Collum still wanted to almost sort of get it off his chest, just to remind everyone there's nothing VAR can do, because it's a second booking everywhere in the world. However, if VAR was allowed, he doesn't think that would have been overturned. It's not an error. It's a sort of subjective one that can go either way. It's not a big error. And the next step, he didn't say this, but you would have to imagine then not statement worthy. You know, it's a subjective one. Cammy Devlin commits a foul, John Beaton thinks it's a booking. You might think it's harsh, you might get away with a booking, but not one of these ones that goes down as a big official error that, you know, has to be looked at.
Roger Hannah called it correctly last Monday night on Super Scoreboard, when he said that the statement was a massive exercise in deflection from Hearts, and even their own fans aren't buying it.
I've got to say, I thought he was very hard done by. I don't know if it was a case of maybe he's had one or two wee niggly ones before at Gordon and he was on his last warning. I think Big Marvin was talking about in Tuesday night's programme, because everybody's been there. The ref will just have a quiet word in your ear and say, look, one more and you're gone, so you just need to protect yourself. So if it's only for that tackle, the second, I think he's very harshly dealt with.
But this is what I'm saying, it's still one of those sort of subjective calls that might be a bit harsh.
Yeah, but I don't think there's a letter getting from a club.
What I mean is, because everyone says, yeah, but we should all be in this together, we should want to drive up standards, which is absolutely true. I think we would all like that. But does it not sort of demean your argument or take away from the real mistakes and the real injustices when you start getting all hung up on?
Everybody will start doing that, yeah.
And then every club does it when it suits them.
Yeah. No, certainly they should have been aggrieved at it, but there was no need to go to the lengths that they are. But it sums up where Hearts are.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, you're right. And Roger said that they were looking for something to appease their fans, and I don't think that was worthy. Of that decision.
Anyway, they've not scored yet. It is goalless in that one. It's goalless pretty much everywhere apart from Fir Park, where St Johnstone have the lead against Motherwell. Motherwell with a shot over the bar as they tried to respond, but nevertheless it's the league's bottom side. And I suppose we can keep doing the old as things stand, can't we, at this stage of the season?
Yeah, it's in that stage.
We don't mind doing that after the split. I think you're certainly allowed to, and certainly would shake things up at the bottom.
Listen, I totally agree. I think if St Johnstone can get something today, it really puts pressure on one or two clubs just above them. I think Motherwell, Hearts are certainly gone. They'll not get dragged into it. I think Motherwell will be the same. Yes, it'd be great to get a point. I just look at that other game there, Kilmarnock Ross County. That's massive, isn't it, at Rugby Park.
Rangers are pretty slack, and Barry Ferguson's getting very frustrated on the touchline. Hugh?
Yeah, well, see, that's my suspicion. You're not dealing with 11 Glaswegians. You've got the arch Rangers man Barry Ferguson as the manager, but the rest possibly don't feel the same way about the club that he does, and they're thinking, well, Celtic are the champions, but so what do we do? And I do understand that when it's Rangers Celtic next weekend, it will be a different story. But I think it's hard to convince some of them that this is really an important day.
I think what's interesting as well about that, Gordon, is the team lineup, because some Rangers fans wanted young players to get a chance because they think, well, the season is gone, it is done, so you might as well. Barry Ferguson saying yesterday, though, he's not just going to do that for the sake of it, they have to earn it and so on, which we always hear, right, and that's fine. But again, the fans are now turning up today and saying, what is the point? Your Bailey Rice is playing fine, but other than that, you know, if you go and pick what's so-called full strength team and it doesn't even really perform anyway, and even if you do get a win, you can understand why fans maybe wanted to see it mixed up a bit.
100%. But I think Barry's looking at from a, and quite rightly so, a selfish point of view, because he's thinking and he's stating that he still feels that he could do the job, so he wants to finish
but
in a high, and he
other
wants
people
to
might
win.
Not agree with that.
I don't agree. I don't think Barry will get the Rangers job now. I think you're right, the Rangers fans turning up there, I agree with Barry Ferguson, the fact that if you play young players, they've got to earn the right, but surely Rangers have got one or two young players there who would excite the fans and just give them something different, a bit of freshness, whatever it may be. I know Bailey Rice is in this afternoon, he's a good prospect, but I think Barry and the staff are looking at it from their point of view to go, we want to finish the season on a high.
Raskin fires a shot well wide from 25 yards.
It always intrigues me that, though, when Rangers fans play the young players a lot of them will not have an idea who the young players are.
So I think even just like Finlay Curtis and guys that have featured a bit.
I was going to come on to him because Barry Ferguson has played him, so he has to take credit for introducing him a bit more, and Bailey Rice, but there isn't a group of 8 young players sitting ready to come into that Rangers first team. So I think he's doing his best, but I think Daz is right. He'll want to keep his chances to the best it can possibly be. Whether we think he's getting the job or not, he'll still believe there's an opportunity, and that means playing those international standard players against, let's be honest, the Rangers individuals are better than the St Mirren individuals, but it's just not clicking for him.
Big chance for Dundee. It was Astley. You think he's never going to let you down, but he did. He should have picked it. He should have slipped it. He should have slipped it to Murray, decided against it, and his shot deflected wide. Big opportunity gone.
Well, that's the last thing in the world that the Hearts fans need to see Dundee taking the lead.
Do you know, I'm actually sitting thinking of that song to throw in a one-liner, and I can't get it.
Well,
he'll always run around though.
Yeah,
he'll always put the effort in.
Yeah, I like it. You're on fire.
Astley always had a rick in him.
Don't mind it.
It's okay.
Don't mind it. Kevin Nisbet looked set for a tap in at the back. This is not a pun, by the way, it's just an update from a different game. Kevin Nisbet looked set for a tap in at the back post, but a great clearance to get it away from danger. It was Leighton Clarkson with the cross. He's
big game up there. Big game.
Yeah, really
big. That was on now. 20 games,
17 unbeaten.
It's incredible run,
marvellous,
where they've come from. And I think that's why, as much as Hearts fans like to concentrate on themselves, see when you look across the city and you see what David Gray's achieved and where Hibs are, that adds a lot of pressure to you.
Yeah, there's no doubt it does, because we've spoken before. Look, missing out in the top 6 is poor from Hearts, but actually the number of points Neil Critchley has picked up isn't terrible.
Bad,
it's just not. In fact, if anything, it's more towards the other end of the scale. But in a city where you're so far behind your rivals, it puts the spotlight on all the negative stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then you had a good opportunity last weekend, Gordon, to get to a Scottish Cup final, which would have helped you. Of course it would. Look, I'm all for. I'm fed up seeing clubs just sack manager after manager after manager. Got to give a bit of time, a bit of patience, and if he gives him another transfer window, I would agree with that. I don't think he'll leave Hearts.
Maybe Arbroath are in party mode. They've won the league already. There's a big goal at the top of the Championship though, and the bottom, or maybe it's the middle, depending on how the appeal goes. But Hamilton Accies 0, Livingston 1. It's one of the 4 Championship nominees for Player of the Year, Robbie Muirhead with the penalty. And as things stand,
level
with
will
Falkirk
be ahead in goal
points.
difference. Yeah. Wow, that is going to be tense, because at one stage just a few weeks ago it looked like Falkirk were just running away.
Matter of time, Mark,
to be 1 up against Wraith with less than 10 minutes to go to win the league, to now find yourself in this position. Wow, what pressure's on their shoulders next week.
Tell you what, you talk about managers of the year, this guy could be in the running. Ask Fraser if he's came with a late run.
Who, Mark Wilson?
Yeah.
All right,
give me Brian up there.
It's not just about staying in the SPFL, of course, at this time of the season. It's about trying to get there. And I don't know if you've noticed as well, but East Kilbride play Brora today.
Where's it at?
East Kilbride,
yeah, East Kilbride first. So of course, two-legged tie. The winner of that then plays whichever team finishes bottom of League 2 for the 42nd space in the SPFL next season. And East Kilbride are 1-0 up after about 25 minutes or so.
And the bottom team in the League 2 are Bonnyrigg Rose, and East Kilbride would fancy that, I think.
Yeah, still a difficult job to get through this one, but they would be really hoping to take a good lead up to the Highlands next week. Is it next weekend? I take it, Gordon. It'll not be midweek, surely.
Yeah, I think it is next weekend. Sorry, up to Brora.
We wish them all the best.
Been up that neck of the woods, Brora?
Yeah, I went up there with her. Played a few teams up there in the Cup as well. Never lost in the Highlands.
I played in a Scotland schoolboys game up there in Brora against Holland, and pretty certain, was it Robin was playing in it?
Seriously?
That time,
was he?
Pretty sure someday, and there was another one.
I know. As I speak
Harry
here,
Robin.
Roger Hanna's probably on the typo already.
Well, he knows Scotland schoolboys.
No, I said
results.
I've never lost in the Highlands, but Inverness the Highlands.
Inverness is a Highlands.
I've never had a police escort out of Brora.
Lovely part of the world.
I'm actually glad you mentioned it, Mark Wilson, because it reminded me to give a mention to the Scotland schoolboy under-18s. They've been victorious in this year's Centenary Shield. Finished unbeaten after draws against Northern Ireland and Wales, and they beat Republic of Ireland and England 6-2. Always nice at home. So it's the first time since the year 2000 that they've won it outright, and it's only the fifth Scottish squad to win it outright since the competition began in 1973. So well done to all involved.
Yep, one of our players is there, the right back, Liam Rooney. Well done, he went and got his medal the other night, so a big moment. So well done to the Scotland schoolboys under 18s.
Yes, well done to them. I was asked during the week to give them a mention, just give them the recognition they deserve. So well done to all involved. Motherwell threatening with a shot from outside the box. A relatively routine save for Andy Fisher.
I've actually seen him play in at Capel against England in that game. Boy, for Morton scored 4. Unbelievable.
Mark Wilson.
Wraith Rovers 0, Morton 1, Mark Wilson. Whoa. What was that gesture? What was that gesture?
I mean, it's just a celebration. Is it not?
That's a red card. That's a red card.
A long way to go.
Is the compliance officer watching the cameras in the studio?
I like this studio. There is no evidence.
No, there are cameras.
And by the way, are these cameras still recording these ones?
You never know.
Yeah.
Where do you put that sort of material? Because you never see any of this going out.
Don't you worry about that. Anyway, Wraith Rovers 0, Morton 1. Grant Gillespie with a penalty after 28 minutes, which is a result that suits Partick Thistle, of course, in the hunt for that 4th spot, the final playoff place.
It's huge playoff places, not just ourselves but those other clubs, in terms of budget and stuff, and obviously getting fans in through the door for the playoff games. It means a lot. So that's where these things are a good system, especially in the Championship. It's a long way though from finishing 4th in the Championship to making it to the Premiership. Of course, Thistle almost did it a couple of years ago. Minutes away at Dingwall, weren't they?
Yeah.
Go figure. Ayr United in Queen's Park, because Queen's Park are 2-1 up now at Ayr. It's not a game that is going with the form guide, that one, and that shakes things up at the bottom. Remember the Ibrox goal hero Seb Drozd. He's not done much since. He scored the first. Roddy McGregor has the second, and Queen's Park winning 2-1 at Somerset Park. If Scott Brown wants his team to keep momentum up going into the playoffs, this is not it so far.
No. It's just been a bad day so far. They lost 5-0 recently, didn't they?
Against Livingston
last took 5 off them, so it's all gone a bit sour.
It is a bizarre league, and obviously consistency plays a huge part at the top end, but anybody could beat anybody in that league, and Queen's Park falling like a stone and looked like they were heading for that playoff
It's not getting much better for Rangers. Liam Kelly with a bit of a wayward kick, it goes straight to Mikael Mandron. He probably should have scored, but he blasts it wide in the end, and the Rangers fans not really enjoying this so far.
Yeah, I think Hugh's called it. I think Barry will not be happy with the opening 29-30 minutes, and Simmons giving up a good chance here. Really should have punished Rangers, but it was always going to be tough because St Mirren are a good side. They're well organised.
But at the end of a week in which you
it's a bit of a sitter, actually, according from Andrew McLean.
Well, he's a lucky man then, Barry Ferguson, because at the end of a week in which you state that you want the Rangers job and you will make Rangers a better club, and I'm quoting Barry Ferguson, you cannot days later lose to St Mirren for the 3rd time in the same season.
And that's why, to go back to the sort of young player thing, Gordon, if most people are saying that there is no set of results here that gets Barry Ferguson this job, why not show a sign of then just kind of, looking to the future or whatever? That's the bit, because you understand his perspective. He maybe doesn't see it that way.
100%. I think if Barry seen it that way, and Barry's putting a statement out there saying, look, as long as I'm in charge of this club, I want to win every game. So if you're going to sacrifice playing younger players, and Mark's right, there's not 7 or 8 of them just sitting there a wee bit felt deprived of making your a debut or going and playing today at St Mirren. You've got to earn the right. There's no doubt about that. And remember, they've got a big game coming up next week as well.
Hugh, if you could remind us of your teaser, please, that would be much appreciated.
Can you name the last 3 Celtic players and the last 3 Rangers players to score post-split league goals, and they're no longer with the club?
Lots of people getting pretty close. Scott McScott wants to throw in Ben Davies, I think.
No, not there.
Just Davies, he says. Okay, that's not correct. Most of the others are getting pretty close though, so take that one out and that might help you. Yeah, I can see. I'm quite impressed with the standard that's coming in.
I know who you're saying.
Callum Gallagher wants to throw in Fashion Sakala.
Not there.
Okay, keep guessing. At Clyde SSB. Shall we hear from Brendan Rodgers for the first time? Title winning Brendan Rodgers. Here's what he had to say about that achievement today.
We're very happy, firstly, for our players because of what they've given to this season, their mentality, their work. You know, I've said before, but it all boils down to an idea of how you want to play, working your socks off, and having the club values at heart in everything that you do. And this team have, you know, they've shown every moment of that right the way through the season. So, and when we've needed to, we've turned up. And that's the reality. We knew this was going to be a tough game, and it was a tough game despite the scoreline. We had to stand up for the first 15 minutes, be strong, be aggressive, do all the things you have to do the dirty work, and then from that, our football comes into it, and they score 5 and could have had more.
Well, you know, Brendan Rodgers has called it correctly all season long, and he always goes on about mentality and hard work. I always remember a Brendan Rodgers phrase that he used to use in his first time around, when he said, respect the work. And his team do that. And he mentions club values at heart, and when they need to, they turn up. Well, they had to today, and they had to last week in the Cup, and they had to against Kilmarnock in the game before that, and they've scored 15 goals in those 3 games. So mentality, hard work, Celtic have it in abundance.
He is quick to point that out, and especially in recent weeks, because I think he's keen to get that message across. When maybe criticism isn't the right word, but people obviously writing articles, it's tedious. Some people, it's boring, but he knows the hard work that goes into the plan, the strategy, then the players carrying that out behind closed doors, probably the arguments and the difficult decisions he's made to make the season look easy to others. He knows that's certainly far from easy, so I think he's right to point that out.
Livy are strolling now, 2 up.
Yeah, Robbie Muirhead again with the goal. Hamilton Accies 0, Livingston 2. Remember, Hamilton Accies' appeal will be heard on Thursday, so we wait and see what that points deduction looks like.
Will they get a result? They won't get a result before the end of the season, will they?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to
be
a
result on Thursday.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, right, okay.
But it has to be.
I
don't think there's any option, because obviously what hangs in the balance, the playoff places, how it affects the league below, the teams above.
But anyway, they're 2-0 down today. You just, because this is so unprecedented at this time of the season, I don't really know the possibilities, Hugh. The thing that would be going through my head at the moment would be, what if most of the deduction stays in place, but a couple of the points get shaved off, or some of the points, you know, they might need something here, they might need something next week, and it's very difficult to know.
I remain convinced by my initial reaction that the punishment was so swinging that it's not the sort of punishment you can climb down from on an appeal.
I'm tending to go along the same lines as you. I think I'll be amazed if they overturn that. I really do. But listen, Hamilton are quite right to appeal. Their championship status depends on it, and you're right, Gordon. They've got to concentrate and try and get some points on the board. Next week they go to Falkirk, who's looking to tie up the title.
Yeah.
What a day that could be. All things considered, I don't know if it's too much beat the pundit excitement. Scott Allen's Kelty Hearts losing 2-0 up at Cove. Mitch Megginson.
How's the results been actually after Charlie?
Mixed, I think. They won won the first, lost the second. Would that be right? Yeah, I think so. Oh, we've got a goal in the big one at Rugby Park.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
2 at once because Kilmarnock have gone 1-0 up against Ross County thanks to a Bruce Anderson header. And
goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Hearts 0, Dundee 1, and it's that man Simon Murray. Gordon Dalziel's been banging the drum to get him some recognition in the Player of the Year stakes, and he has scored again. It was Danny Armstrong who crossed for Bruce Anderson, and there was another cross in the other game, and it was a low finish from Simon Murray.
He's listen, he deserves to be in that 4. And I thought he was a bit hard done by with the Team of the Year. Okay, I understand Albies had a real good season, but Simon Murray's been excellent.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Everyone's woken up all of a sudden. It's Motherwell 1, St Johnstone 1, an equaliser for the Steelmen. It's been a powerful low finish. It was Tony Watt with the cutback, and there arriving it was Callum Slattery to divert the ball low into the back of the net. He's been a rare sort of shining light for Motherwell in recent weeks. He's been one of the better attacking threats. He's scored another, and we're level at Fir Park.
All getting lively now. Apart from St Mirren Rangers and Aberdeen Hibs, they are the only goalless ones. But Tynecastle, that's the place. That really is the place. With Dundee a goal up, the fans will not take kindly to what's going on here, and David Friel at half time, I'm sure, will be talking about a place that's turned toxic.
Yeah, also if you look at Rugby Park, that could be a massive goal for Derek McInnes down there if they can get a 3 points. Goal
flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Motherwell buses, is there a phrase? St Johnstone 1, Motherwell 2. Johnny Katrumbis is trying to claim it. It might go down as an own goal, but either way, the Steelmen are in front.
Told you, St Johnstone are going.
Yeah, just before half time. Crucial to get back in the game, but then get your second. Just changes the whole flow of that one.
Yeah, and that will secure them. Obviously, they'll not need to worry in the next few games.
There is a VAR check for offside against Tony Watt in the build-up.
Tony. What are you doing to us? It's offside. I can see by your face.
I don't know yet. No, it was Fraser's updating as he's crossed it for the goal. He's the initial one, the run forward and the cross. Katrumbis might actually be about to miss, and it whacks a St Johnstone player in the head. It's hard to tell if it was on target or not initially. But we're just double checking on that. The goal is given, so Motherwell do lead at home to St Johnstone. What a period, 2-minute period that was in the bottom 6 in particular, because it would move Motherwell up, what's that, on to 42 points. Yep. And of course St Johnstone would be staying bottom anyway, but Ross County, they now trail, and Dundee winning at Hearts as well. So
I win today for Motherwell. That's it. They don't need to worry. They're
play the kids.
Yeah, they're not getting dragged into it. Play the kids.
I think it's their Player of the Year awards tonight as well, so they won't want to. It's always an awkward night if you go on the back of a defeat.
Bit of a dampener that. Yeah, I had that a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, home against Hamilton.
That Hamilton defeat was your Player of the Year night.
Yeah, right after
he kept that quiet.
Wow. Yeah, well, that's what the night was, quiet.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
St Mirren have probably just about been the better team. However, it's Rangers that take the lead, and it's Cyril Dessers. He got the ball from Nicholas Raskin, fired it low, and it'll have cheered Barry Ferguson up slightly. It's not been a vintage performance, but Rangers are ahead in Paisley,
and that's all he asks of the day. Don't leave Paisley having lost to St Mirren for the third time in the same season. Leave Paisley having left behind your credentials for getting the Rangers manager's job if 49ers Enterprises are even remotely interested in you. You have to keep going, you have to be winning. You don't give the job to someone who's not winning matches.
How many goals is that he scored now, Dessers? He still comes in for incredible sticks sometimes, but he knows where the back of the net is. He can score goals, this guy. I really like him. I've taken to him. He'd be my Player of the Year for Rangers.
For Rangers. This is 24th of the season.
That's a good return. All competitions.
100% about Dessers. I think that's the least of their problems. People elsewhere on the pitch is probably their main problems, but he does miss chances, but does he get a lot of them? Does he get a lot of service for his goals conversion? I think he's doing pretty well with it. By all accounts, this is a good one that he takes, and Rangers haven't really been in this game at all.
Hibs have a goal disallowed, so it was a ball I think knocked over his own line in the end by Knuster. Referee disallowed it, so we'll see if there's any update on that one. A good time to score and all that, as they say though, Gordon, because it would have been, it has been, it's an uninspiring Rangers performance, the type that would have led to a few grumbles probably at half time, but it is a tough place to go. So if you take any sort of lead in at the break, you probably got to just take that and move on.
I think when you turn up at St Mirren, the main aim, just get the 3 points, win the game, because you know it's going to be difficult. You know St Mirren will throw everything at you. Stephen Robinson's is doing a terrific job there, well organised, physical as well. So they would always be a handful. So for Rangers, performance, okay if you can get it, but most important, win the game.
Do one quick reminder of your teaser, Hugh, and we'll round it up during the break. That's what we'll do.
Okay, can you name the last 3 Celtic players and the last 3 Rangers players to score post-split league goals, but they're no longer at the club?
And remember, I said it's all about permanent here, so loans in and loans out don't count. Which, to be fair, I know it's a tricky caveat. So Jordan wanted to throw in Fabio Silva.
No.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah, and Greg's Garden says Luis Palma, but that's a loan. We've got another goal in Paisley.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And Rangers' lead did not last long. It's the skipper for St Mirren, Mark O'Hara, who levels things up. And just before the break, it's St Mirren 1, Rangers 1.
And that changes the complexion of the Rangers dressing room at half time, because Barry Ferguson will be in about his players. That's not good enough for him.
Yeah, you know it's Mark O'Hara. Of course you do. You can hear the horn peeping.
Do you realise that sometimes people might listen to this show for the first time and have no idea what your references are?
But you do. I'm not really caring.
Very quickly, for the 100th time, Mark O'Hara once came in on the show and he left his girlfriend in the car outside, and Gordon Dalziel thought this was hilarious. Okay, we move on. We're levelling Paisley, Hugh.
Yeah, and that is the most important thing. I have to go back to Barry Ferguson saying, I will make Rangers better. And that's fine. That's a fine advertising slogan. But if you then turn around and lose the very next game, then the slogan's burst.
I think the problem with it, Hugh, as well, is it's still not even the two things are possibly unrelated, because let's just say it was to be Barry Ferguson, you have to assume the full thing would look different next season anyway. And I'm not saying automatically better, I get all that, but this group of players, the ownership model could change, or probably will change. You don't know what overhaul of players there would be. So I wonder if those two statements actually do live apart anyway.
Well, we shall see by the end of the play today. I just think that the modern word optics, the optics would not look good if Rangers did not win that match.
How are the optics at Tynecastle, David Friel?
The optics, Gordon, are not very good. Hearts 0, Dundee 1. I was going to say the half-time whistle was greeted by boos, but there's been sporadic booing for the last probably half hour. Hugh mentioned the word toxic. That's what this place will be if Hearts don't turn around. Simon Murray, 22 goals for the season. He's given Dundee the lead, and I think it's fair to say the Tynecastle natives are very, very restless. It's more misery for Neil Critchley so far. His team have had chances, but they've been pretty average, and this is a big second half for them. Game took a wee while to get going. 17 minutes of the first real chance. Jimmy McCart burst forward, failed Elton Kabangu inside the box. Should have done better, dragged his low shot wide. Indeed didn't offer much in attack to begin with, but they did have a really good chance in 24 minutes. Ryan Astley, not Rick, stole the ball off Blair Spittle, drove into the box. He could have slipped a pass to Murray, opted to shoot, it was deflected wide. Indeed keeper Trevor Carson didn't have much to do for that first half hour, but then that changed in 31 minutes. McCarthy again created the chance, superb cross for George Grant. He hooked a volley towards the bottom corner, looked a goal all the way, but Trevor Carson made a big save. Minutes later, Dundee missed a sitter to take the lead. Josh Mulligan, he's been really good, linked with Rangers during the week, and no wonder. Raced down the right, picked out the unmarked Seb Palmer holding. He was 6 yards out, he looked certain to score, but headed wide. Hearts almost took advantage of that. Cammy Devlin, it was like a cross-come shot, come back off the post. George Grant pounced the rebound. He was right next to Trevor Carson, should have scored. Instead, the keeper made a save, but Simon Murray didn't make any mistake with the Dundee opener. Tiffany's cross wasn't dealt with. This was in 38 minutes. Jamie McCart headed the ball out to Simon Murray, took a touch and finished. Half-time, Hearts 0, Dundee 1, and a big second half for Neil Critchley and his players.
Half-time in Paisley, Andrew McLean.
St Mirren 1, Rangers 1, the half-time score. A game really lacking quality, but we did get 2 late goals in the half, one for either side. Rangers really haven't been great though, and you can just tell by looking at Barry Ferguson on the touchline. He spent the whole time turning back in frustration to his bench, shouting at his players. He is not happy. The teams are level, and you'd say on the basis of play, St Mirren, should be level, if not ahead in this game, because they have been the better side. But as I say, pretty slack from Rangers. Probably both teams overall, neither team with any real decent pastures of play to cut the other open. St Mirren into the Rangers box a couple of times, but were making the wrong decision. At the other end, Cyril Dessers got onto a ball over the top from Diamandi, took it down well, but no composure, just blasted it way over the bar. Rangers looked nervy as well, passing out from the back, led to a big St Mirren chance. Liam Kelly passing it straight to Mikael Mandron. He had a good bit of time and a good bit of the goal to aim at as well. Probably should have scored, but he put that one wide. Rangers continued to frustrate their manager and their fans by giving the ball away, looking pretty weak in duels as well, but managed to get the opener 42 minutes in. Raskin finding Dessers inside the box. He took a touch, shot early low past Zach Hemming for the opener. St Mirren will have been disappointed at going behind, given the way that they've battled against Rangers so far today. It looked as if they'd go in behind at the break, but Mark O'Hara made sure they didn't. A long throw into the box, falling to him, and he drilled it well past Liam Kelly, which means at half time it's St Mirren 1, Rangers 1.
I wonder what Barry Ferguson will have up his sleeve at the break. It's also half time in Dave Galloway's game. I think he was next through in the one at Pittodrie.
Yeah, half time, Aberdeen 0, Hibs 0. Gordon, a lively encounter from the word go. This one, the hosts started brightly, but Boyle went close for the visitors, shooting low and hard from the edge of the box. It went just wide. Campbell should have done better after Ubita's free kick to the back post, heading narrowly past. He really ought to have hit the target. At the other end, Bushiri with 2 great blocks to deal with shots by Gay and Keskinen as Aberdeen pushed for the opener, and Nisbet looked set for a simple finish at the back post when Clarkson delivered a good free kick, but a brilliant clearance denied him. The Dons starting to get on top, and Nisbet turns neatly in the box, but his shot didn't trouble Smith, and Keskinen powered towards goal. However, the ball evaded him at the last moment. But Hibs had a goal disallowed after 42 minutes from a corner kick. The ball went over the line off home defender Knuster, but it was ruled out for a foul on Meetoff. It's been a decent game, plenty of openings, but sharpness lacking in both boxes. That's why its goal is at the interval. Aberdeen 0, Hibs 0.
Oh, it's a big game at Pittodrie. Who have we not spoken to yet? Here's Rugby Park and Roger Hanna.
Yeah, the break is Kilmarnock 1, Ross County 0. It didn't look as if it was going to be a great day for Killie. They lost their captain Brad Lyons to an injury in the warm-up. David Watson starting in his place with the armband going to Stuart Finlay. They then had to defend 2 county corners inside the first 60 seconds here, but once they got into their stride, they were definitely the better team and probably deserved their half-time advantage. Danny Armstrong's deliveries from open play and from set pieces really causing problems for the county defence. First, an in-swinging corner from the right-hand side. County needed 3 attempts to get away. Then after Casper Lapata had fouled Bruce Anderson on the near side on the left, Armstrong a left-footed in-swinging delivery, and again the Staggies somehow managed to get the ball away and out of danger. Killie had their best chance. Bobby Wales beating 2 players coming off the inside left channel, on the left, shot blocked the edge of the box. It then fell kindly for Armstrong on the right hand side, and his curling left foot shot just flew inches past Jordan Amisa's far post. You felt an opener was coming for the host, and then Julie arrived in 36 minutes, and unsurprisingly Armstrong was the architect. The right wing back getting the ball out of his feet on the far side of Killie right, turning onto his left foot, a great delivery, and there was Bruce Anderson coming in at the back post to reach it and head past, squeeze a header past Amisa in at the near post. County's only real response, Ronan Hale flashing a shot across the face of Kieran O'Hara's goal just before the break after an exchange of passes with Akil Wright, but 5 across the back for County, 3 defensive minded midfield players in front of them for County. There's an enormous gap to Hale and Jordan White. They need to show more attacking intent in the second half, because as things stand at the start of the bottom 6, Gordon, they're in the relegation playoff place. It's Killie 1, County 0.
We will do a full roundup of the half-time scores and the answers to the first half teaser when we return.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
One more half-time report to give you. It comes from Fir Park. Fraser Wishart has been watching on.
Yes, it's Motherwell 2, St Johnstone 1. I said before the game it'd be nervy for the Motherwell fans, as so it's turned out. They were down to an early goal from Mackenzie Kirk, when just as we heard the news of Dundee and Kelly taking the lead, 2 goals in less than 90 seconds have put Motherwell ahead from the best player on the pitch, Callum Slattery, and John Kutrumbis, the 6-minute opener for St Johnstone. A really good goal. Josh McPake has done well on the left hand side, used his pace. It looked like the ball was going to go out, but he slid in and cut the ball back 12 yards out. Mackenzie Kirk coming in, side footed finish, but with powered it into the top right hand corner of the net. The goal gave St Johnstone real confidence. They were knocking it about well on this slick surface. 20 minutes past, you could sense the Motherwell fans begin to worry. The quiet as the team hadn't had an effort on goal till Harry Payton fired over from the edge of the box to give them some hope. Then the tempo of St Johnstone's game dropped and Motherwell began to have the better of the game. Slattery was a yard wide with a volley, a really good touch to his chest, didn't quite get the connection. Then he brought out a good save from Fisher, who was diving to his left to push the ball away for a corner. Then Stephen Duke McKenna should have done better for Saints. Lee Miller robbed in midfield. Josh McPake set up Duke McKenna. He didn't make good connection and the ball was cleared. The Motherwell fans, a few boos and general frustration at their team, but in football it's amazing. It just takes a moment to change the whole mood. In 39 minutes, the same fans were on their feet. Tony Watt made a really good run on the left-hand side. He cut the ball back to Slattery, who sliding powered a side foot finish. First time low into the net from 16 yards. Then a minute later, it was 2-1. Tony Watt again. Pride from left-hand side. We've seen him throughout his career make these runs into the inside left position. Similar position on the park. This time outside of his foot, right across the 6-yard box. And Johnny Kutrumbis playing at centre-back, but somehow found himself in the 6-yard box. Actually nearly missed it, but it went in off a defender on the line. And those goals have given Motherwell a real platform now to get a vital 3 points. For St Johnstone, they've got nothing to lose. They must have a go in the second half. They need a win. Half-time at Fir Park, Motherwell 2, St Johnstone 1.
Thanks to Fraser. Let's do a roundup of the scores. Of course, the full-time result is Dundee United 0, Celtic 5. At the break, Aberdeen 0, Hibs 0, Hearts 0, Dundee 1, Kilmarnock 1, Ross County 0, Motherwell 2, St Johnstone 1 and St Mirren 1, Rangers 1. In the Championship, Ayr 1, Queen's Park 2, Dunfermline 0, Airdrie 0, Hamilton Accies 0, Livingston 2 and Wraith Rovers 1, Greenock Morton 1. In League 1, it's Alloa 0, Montrose 1, Cove Rangers 2, Kelty Hearts 0, Dumbarton 1, Annan Athletic 0, Inverness Cally Thistle 2, Arbroath 0 and Queen of the South 0, Stenhousemuir 0. In League 2, it's Bonnyrigg Rose 0, Spartans 0, Edinburgh City 0, Forfar 0, Elgin City 2, Stranraer 0, Peterhead 1, East Fife 0 and Stirling Albion 0, Clyde 2. If the English Premier League is your thing, it finished Chelsea 1, Everton 0. At the break, Brighton 1, West Ham 0, Newcastle 1, Ipswich 0, Southampton 1, Fulham 0 and Wolves 1, Leicester 0. Hugh Keevins, let's round this off while we can.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
The last 3 Celtic players and the last 3 Rangers players to score post-split league goals but are no longer at the club are, for Celtic, Matt O'Reilly, Kyogo Furuhashi, and for Rangers, Todd Cantwell, Scott Wright and Antonio Cholak.
Well done if you got them all right, and many of you did. Even Mark Wilson and Gordon Dalziel got it right, but third place on the podium was Scott McScott. Took a few goes, but he still got there in quick enough time to make it a third place finish. Jamie Dock was second and Igaman Prop was the winner, the gold medalist. We have a Who Am I and the second halves are coming up next.
The fastest goals, the experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Back underway for the second half of the 3 o'clock games. It is the same 11 for Rangers, unchanged. You wonder if Barry Ferguson was impressed with what he saw. You also wonder, Hugh, what the what the message really is when everyone's in this state of treading water. You know, can Barry Ferguson, can he go in and...
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Trywire.com. Save like a world-class keeper. Get a great price on your next car.
What's on TV? The answer is a lot. There's never been more choice over what to put on the box with an abundance of great new shows, but you can miss them all if you don't know where to look. And that's where the Pilot TV podcast comes in, your essential guide to every show that matters. Each week we sift through the very best in prestige TV to help you decide what's worth spending your time on and what isn't. So join me, James Dyer, as well as venerable TV critics Boyd Hilton and Kay Ribeiro, and let us help take the stress out of your downtime. The Pilot TV podcast, because you can't watch everything.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Trywire.com. Kick high prices to the curb. Drive away with huge savings. The fastest goals. The experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Back underway for the second half of the 3 o'clock games. It is the same 11 for Rangers, unchanged. You wonder if Barry Ferguson was impressed with what he saw. You also wonder, Hugh, what the message really is when everyone's in this state of treading water. You know, can Barry Ferguson, can he go in and strip the paint off the walls if he's not happy? Does it matter the same way it often might?
But does he have another style of management? Because I think that is Barry's style of management. Just rip into the players. And they'll have Neil McCann trying to do the tactical side of the thing, and Billy Dodds and Alan McGregor in there as well. But it doesn't look good. On the day that Celtic win 5-0, win their 13th league title out of the last 14, equal Rangers on 55 league titles, there we have Rangers struggling away in Paisley. It does not look good.
Listen, we've not been in the dressing room. It's easy for us to say that Barry Ferguson was quite an animated player. Absolutely. Hold on.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Michael Wimmer's team talk must have worked a treat, because Motherwell have scored a third, and it is Tom Sparrow with the goal. So lots, 2 of the goals coming from the defensive players, but I don't think they'll care. It was Dominic Thompson's cross. Tom Sparrow arriving 6 yards out, finds the finish. Motherwell have a cushion.
I said that St Johnstone had gone. I now add another 3 words: well and truly gone. And they'll be a championship side next season. Simo Valakari seems like a very decent man, a bit of an idealist about how he approaches football, but he'll be a championship manager next season if he's still there.
Yeah, that's good night. That's good night from him. Their only hope was to get a victory today. And when you looked at that, even Dundee are won at Hearts, and you've got Ross County, obviously that would be your focus. They're losing down at Kilmarnock, but for us, Johnston, I totally agree with you. Championship next year.
And although most people had them safe anyway, Motherwell still needed something.
Yeah, a point would have been plenty. Look, I still think Motherwell had enough to keep them safe, but just get it over the line, make sure, and that certainly seals it for them.
When you look at the as things stand table, Motherwell will be above Hearts right now. As things stand, Motherwell are 2 points above Hearts. Kilmarnock would be 2 points beneath Hearts, and Dundee would go on to 37 points, 3 points away from Hearts. 4 games left to play. It's not too late for Hearts to be dragged into this mess in a playoff sense.
There's just too many teams below them, though, isn't there? There's just too many. That's the.
I don't think. I know what you're saying when you look at the table, but I don't think Hearts will be brought into that.
40 points. No, 40. I think 40 is almost certainly going to be enough, Hugh, because of the number of teams below. If it's going to be a kind of record-breaking, don't know if that's the right phrase, but record-breaking season in that regard, because you can almost guarantee that whatever team ends up in 11th will do so with the highest points total that you usually see in that area of the pitch. Just going back to Barry Ferguson, Gordon, we don't know what his style is. We know he was a very vocal player, but Andrew McLean says he was furious on the touchline, so you can imagine him going in and trying to make his point. But is this inevitable? I know people talk about professional pride and you play for your future, so I get all that, but if a manager in his situation is tearing the paint off the walls, is it inevitable that some players might think,
switch off?
You might not even be here next season.
Yeah.
We don't know who's here next season. Who cares? And I know it's uncomfortable as a fan because you like to believe that players don't do that, but they're human beings also.
Yeah, I think that the modern day manager now, the days of like say Fergie and the Jim McLean's eras, they're all gone. You can get in there, like you can say strong words. You don't need to be throwing things about a dressing room, because you're right, players switch off now. You've got guys in there that's, you know, not used to that sort of a man management, and Barry might be completely opposite. He might get in there, he might use strong words, he might put a bit of demands on them. I'd be very surprised if he's in throwing things about, as we always called it, the hairdryer treatment. I don't think he will. I think he'll be telling them how disappointed he is in them, because the one thing about this Rangers team, and it's under Barry as well, they lose too many goals for me. I think that's since Barry went into the job, 19 in about 11 games. You ain't going to win a lot of games losing goals.
No. But I do think that he cares so much for the club that is his style of management. Why aren't you caring as much as I am caring? And the quote you read out earlier, Gordon, about I want the players to hurt.
Well, maybe it's worked.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Because Nicholas Raskin has scored, left-footed, low finish, edge of the box. St Mirren 1, Rangers 2. There you go, gets the reaction.
Yeah, well, whatever style of management has probably worked in the dressing room. I don't know. Only Rangers players can tell you. He's certainly asked for a response, and to be fair to him and fair to the players, they've given him that response. And it's that man Raskin. I know Mark was saying on Thursday night that, you know, he may be in the four for Player of the Year, and he's certainly having a real strong end to the season.
I think he deserves to be in the four. I think Rangers have had a poor season, but again, they're still second best in the league, and he's been, for me, their best player, and he's added goals to his game in the second half of the season. So I think he deserves, that place in that four. He's been a real leader. No, he doesn't wear the armband, but he has at certain times this season, but he has been a real leader. But for Barry Ferguson, I guess he'll just remind players of the certain standards and remind them what they've worked on. I think the frustration for him is that the Rangers players carry probably his and Neil McCann's instructions out for small periods, and then they seem to lapse, and then it constantly needs to be, emphasised again. You look at Brendan Rodgers on the touchline. I know it's easy when they're 5-0 up. He's very rarely shouting or ranting, is he? Because his players carry out the instructions, then he'll rejig things at half time. Barry's always seemed to be onto this group.
Is it this type of thing that Nicholas Raskin also has to do much more, Gordon? He has had a good season, he's excellent off the ball. Is this the next step for him?
Yeah, scoring goals. Yeah, because you look at everybody's patting McGregor on the back because he dictates game. This season he's added goals from distance. You're a midfield player now. You've got to have the all-round game. Yes, you're there to try and win the battle mid-part. You're there to control the pace of the game, like McGregor does for Celtic as a captain. But if you're going to be a top midfield player, you've got to get goals.
So Rangers are in front now. St Mirren 1, Rangers 2. Motherwell have stretched their advantage. They're 3-1 up at home to St Johnstone. Let's do this, Hugh. We almost forgot about it.
Yeah.
Just a quick word from our podcast sponsors, Wire, the best way to own an electric vehicle. Wire is a car purchasing platform that only sells 100% electric vehicles. So they'll walk you through the process of selecting a fully electric car that meets both your needs and your desires. Wire prove that virtually every car buyer can go electric today. They've got affordable options, saving you thousands on your next car through the Salary Boost scheme. The scheme makes purchasing an electric vehicle a sensible financial decision. Make sure you check out trywire.com for more information and how you can sign up. Now let's get back to the podcast.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Let me tell you now, I think this is impossible.
Never.
Right, Hugh, we'll let you know.
I have played alongside Gylfi Sigurdsson and Ollie Burke. I have been managed by Ralph Rangnick. I have played in 3 countries, including Scotland, and appeared for my country. Who am I? I've played alongside Gylfi Sigurdsson and Ollie Burke. Managed by Ralph Ranić. Played in 3 countries, including Scotland, and appeared for my country. Who am I?
I'll take your "this is impossible" and raise you. Someone will have that within 5 minutes.
Okay, you can let me know.
We will see. Nicholas Raskin booked for leaving one on Killian Phillips. The two of them have been at it all game. Yellow card comes out. I think I referred to Matthew McDermott as being the VAR earlier on, didn't I? And said he's actually the 4th official. Sorry, so he is present and correct. At that game, Ayr have equalised. Quick turnaround there, 2 Queen's Park 2. Mark McKenzie with the goal there 10 minutes after the restart. So maybe they are trying to play their way into playoff form. Still level between Wraith and Morton, is it, Mark Wilson?
1-1, yeah.
Are you nervous?
I think so.
Are you nervous over there, Mark Wilson?
Not really, no. It's not much I can do, is it? I didn't get nervous.
Okay.
Well, your last game, what is Livingston at Livingston?
Livingston's at Livingston.
Yeah.
Yep.
And obviously you go there with a lot of confidence. When is that? Next Friday?
It's next Friday. You coming?
No.
I've invited you to every Friday game, and I know the Partick Thistle fans would love to see you.
I would
there.
love to be in amongst them celebrating a great achievement.
You should go next Friday.
He's never turned up to any of them.
Your best friend in the whole world.
I don't even like him.
Could
I don't
secure playoffs.
I'll tell you what I would do. I would go to the playoffs. I like the playoffs.
You say that, and
well,
you
I
want
went
to turn up as well.
I went to the Partick Wraith Rovers one at Starts Park.
So you did. That was because it was a freebie, and you were doing a wee turn at it. You're getting a wee pocket full of cash.
There you go, Gordon. I was just getting up to wash the statue.
I was working at the playoffs when it went the opposite way for Partick Thistle against Livy.
Right.
I remember that day. I remember it well. Livy came into the Premiership. They might fancy getting back there, of course, this season as well. Might even go up automatically. Who would have thought that, Hugh Keevins?
Well, I still think that Partick Thistle are scarred by what happened in Dingwall, and it taken the club a long time to get over that. To have gone there with such a lead and to have collapsed late on, that does leave psychological scarring. But I really, really wish them well. As I say, I texted Mark Wilson immediately, knowing he would get it after the game. But I'm so pleased for you when that goal went in.
Thank you.
Did they reply, Hugh? Because
he's got far too much.
The amount of times I text him and I hear nothing back, I thought it's like falling
Shall I
out.
say what the text was? The last text you sent me.
I was like falling out with your girlfriend. You never text back.
He texted me just before the game, wishing me luck.
Exactly.
That's the first time he's done that. There was a few other words in there that I won't disclose it live on air, but you can imagine that along with lines.
I was thinking about you.
Queen of the South, you are. Queen of the South 1, Stenhousemuir 0. Fraser Bryden with the goal there. Queens have been on a really good run recently. Are you surprised at the lack of anything from Pittodrie?
Yeah, very. Maybe it means too much to both of them, and there's a lot of caution in the air.
I think we all went for a draw in that one, did we? Did you go for
I went for Hibs. Listen, David Gray, I think, will be happy with that. The emphasis isn't on him to go and win the game. It's a tough fixture away at Pittodrie, especially when you're on that run. I guess just naturally, I know he's thinking confidently and finish the season strong, but you must think this has got to come to an end sometime. Just being realistic. So he'll certainly not want it to be against an Aberdeen side who can then, leapfrog them or go level in points, certainly with him. So he can just afford to sit in and hopefully soak up a bit of pressure and then
I totally agree with you, Mark. I think a draw at Pittodrie would be a good result for Hibs. Take the point down the road. It keeps them in that third position. And it keeps that unbeaten record going. So yeah, I would take a point. If you can get all three, brilliant, but a point would be happy for me.
Hearts creating nothing, says David Friel. We're down well.
Well, that's another of the problems. They don't score. I think in the season as a whole, Shankland's got 5-6 goals, and no one else is chipping in. They had Dundee United at Tynecastle to stay in the top 6 and lost 1-0 to Dundee United. They had an Aberdeen team last weekend in the Cup who, they're there, good luck to them, but they're not exactly top drawer, and Hearts struggle to score. So there's nothing going Neil Critchley's way at the moment.
Quick VAR check for a challenge on Mohamed Diamande, but nothing given. And on we go. Still the same scoreline. Still 2-1 to Rangers there in Paisley.
I wonder when the managerial situation will be resolved though at Rangers. Interesting, Barry Ferguson, obviously coming out and saying it needs to be sooner rather than later. And that's a guy in interim charge saying that. Got a sporting director in. You just wonder how long it'll take, because Rangers will be way behind in terms of preparations for next season.
Yeah. Although the legals, as they call them, have not been finished yet, between American lawyers and British lawyers, they have appointed the sporting director. Now that tells me that Rangers talk to Andrew Kavanagh.
Well, he's been going to games, hasn't he?
Yeah, he must have approved.
Yeah, greenlit that appointment.
Yeah, and therefore that would tell me that if they go to him with a name for manager, then there'll be talks about that.
I think they've got to. I think they've got to start putting things in place. You see Celtic where they are just now. I wouldn't be surprised if that's next on the list. They brought in a sporting director, and I look at his background, and there's a guy that managed, and I'm very friendly with. I spoke to him about him because he was his director of youth at Preston. He then took him to Derby. He became part of the staff in the playoff for Billy Davis. Looked after him, gave him. So you bring the sporting director in there. You've now got to look that he will appoint the next manager. So I would be looking to do it as quickly as I possibly can, because you can't. For me, you can't wait to the end of the season. You've got to get things in place. Celtic will already be further down the road, so you can't be playing catch up all the time.
Do you think they'll just wait till after the Celtic game is out the way next week?
Maybe, Mark, and that wouldn't be a bad shout. I think they've got to really, and Barry Ferguson's even out after the European campaign finished, and he was even saying, look, even if it's not me, I still think we should start getting things into place. And
that was an interesting one. Barry Ferguson saying, I read that he wouldn't be interested in a managerial job elsewhere. I thought he would have used this as a springboard to say, I'm ready to come back in, and at a slightly higher level. I think he might have got the opportunity somewhere, but saying he wasn't interested and he'll revert back to his role as club ambassador, that surprised me.
Have you maybe seen that though? We maybe don't think about it because not many people get the chance, right? But is it possible that he sees himself as a figurehead and a leader of a big institution, and one that he's certainly got close to his heart, but just simply doesn't see himself as the manager of, I don't know, Queen of the South or whatever, where he's dealing with all the other stuff, and and he maybe doesn't have the personal passion for it anyway the way he would for Rangers.
Well, just the quality at those levels are probably hard to deal with for a guy like Barry Ferguson, whose standards are so high. And in some respects this level of management should be easier, but he's come in and he's inherited this squad and bad habits that they've picked up, so I would maybe tend to cut him a wee bit of slack. It would be interesting to see if he did get the job and he had his own players, how successful a manager he would be at this level. But he obviously just doesn't want to go back to that, because there is so much that comes attached to that you wouldn't even believe. And some of it, myself, lower level, Marvin will tell you as well, other guys on the show that's been there, Charlie Mulgrew just got a taste of it as well. It's just a different game from what these guys are dealing with when they were professional players.
So what happens if he beats Celtic next weekend? Back-to-back wins, home and away, against Brendan Rodgers. Does that put the cat amongst the pigeons?
I don't think so. I think it'll still be someone else.
Yeah,
I do.
Oh, big save from Liam Kelly to deny Idowu, who's just came on for St Mirren. Suter was caught a bit on the ball at the edge of his own box. I don't think for the first time today Liam Kelly saves with an outstretched leg.
Well, keeping Rangers in it. As I say, I think for Barry Ferguson we can argue or debate whether back-to-back wins over Celtic might be of any use to him in terms of getting the Rangers job, but one thing he can't do is not win this one in Paisley.
Yeah, big chance for St Mirren. They might be kicking themselves because Rangers have looked a lot more dominant since they got that second goal and took the lead not long after half time. But really, St Mirren should be level.
Yeah, but the sounds of it today, St Mirren, Rangers have given up a few chances, Gordon. So one thing I think that no matter who comes into the building, you need to address that right away. You always fancy a goal against Rangers, always. But unfortunately for St Mirren, they've not been able to capitalise on that this afternoon. But I still think there's a goal in this game.
They concede so many chances, Rangers, just now domestically, because I think they're a wee bit in between. So they try to play out for the back, but I don't think they've got the personnel, or I don't think they've got the right idea and the consistency and kind of the patterns. Like you look at Celtic, and they struggled for 10 minutes. All of a sudden there's a wee tweak and everybody knows their job and it's easy and they play it. Rangers try it, but they often get caught, and that's been the case today at St Mirren. They should have been punished for it more than they have been.
Rocky Bashiri heads over from a corner. That's about as close as we're getting really to an opener there. Let's recap the teaser, Hugh, and do some wrong answers.
Okay. I played alongside Gylfi Sigurdsson and Ollie Burke. I've been managed by Ralph Rangnick. I've played in 3 countries, including Scotland, and appeared for my country. Who am I?
Okay, Jiggy thinks it could be Scott Sinclair.
It's not.
Scott McGowan thinks Ahmad Diallo.
Think again.
Okay, keep your guesses coming at Clyde SSB. Got another goal to tell you about.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Game on at Fir Park. St Johnstone 2. Motherwell have it there in the lead, of course. Motherwell 3, St Johnstone 2. Elliot Watt with the goal. A good strike, 25 yards out, low into the right hand corner. And still plenty of time for St Johnstone to get something here.
Yeah, a lifeline for St Johnstone. I think it's Fraser, it's Motherwell. We've been enjoying the goals, but nervous times. I thought Motherwell would have, after the 3-1, right after half time, probably went on to secure the 3 points and score more goals, especially at home. But they're making a fight of it.
You thought that was done and dusted. Good night, you said.
I did.
Oh, nervy times.
Yeah, because St Johnstone, they've nothing to lose. They may as well just go and have a go. Throw things. Yeah, exactly, Mark. We've been there. Go and throw everything at them. See if you can get something, salvage something out of the game. But as Motherwell's point of view, they're still at home and they're still leading. So let's see what happens. But plenty of football still to be played.
Absolutely. Big turnaround from Kelty. Cove 2, Kelty 2 now. Ross Cunningham, who's been Kelty's biggest attacking threat all season. He's scored to level that one up in League One. Any chance of you two getting that teaser, just out of curiosity?
I'm still trying to find out who Sigurdsson played for. Who does?
Swansea, Everton.
He's another team.
He's someone else.
Just saying. I think we'll leave it there for now, actually. Don't think we need any more clues quite yet, if you don't mind.
No, it's hard.
I think there is another disallowed goal at Pittodrie, if that's any use to you, if that excites you. Nisbet, Ockles with the cut back, but again, disallowed. I don't know, does that really mean we're getting closer? Is that the way it works? I don't know.
Not sure about that. Dave will still be enjoying it though.
Who?
Dave
who? Oh, Galloway.
He just enjoys any day out of Pittodrie with the Red Army.
The last bus home.
Ockles judged to be offside. Good save from Amisa to deny Ndaba. Forgot about that game. It's gone quite quiet because Kelly scored so early, didn't they? And then not a lot happening. There's now a VAR check for a potential St Mirren penalty. So we'll wait and see the outcome of that one. Nsiala's foul, it was initially given as a free kick. It's one of these, then is it inside the box or is it not? Now remember, any contact on the line would be a penalty, and it's very hard, it's very marginal, some of these things, because you're maybe looking at where does contact start and where does it end, and if it continues into the box it can be a penalty, all that stuff. It's down the side of the box. It's not about whether he was close enough to goal. He was down the side of the box.
So has he gone to the monitor?
Not yet. He won't go to the monitor, I wouldn't have thought, because it should just be a factual overturn if there is to be one.
Those are the ones VAR are good for, because it's so difficult for referees, especially if you're saying it's down the side of the box, to see. Andrew
McLean is keeping an eye out. I think the initial feeling for most was that it was outside, but again, you're just saying that, there's no point in.
It's great when the players crowd the referee. They can all see better, can't they?
Sure.
Than anybody.
It is a free kick stand. So that was the initial decision, remember, was free kick, and that is what it's going to be. So it's down the side of the box, so it's more of a crossing opportunity.
Good spot from the referee then. They never get the credit in those situations. Everybody just moves on, but those ones are tricky for them.
That is true, actually. You're almost waiting to pounce on the mistake.
You're waiting
and
to say I got it wrong.
If there isn't one, no one says anything at all.
Yeah.
But it's a possible let-off for Rangers. But if there's 20 minutes to go in the game, 2-1, they really could be doing with a third goal just for Barry Ferguson's peace of mind.
Right, what we got? We've got another goal, actually.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
That might be that at Killie. They've made it to Liam Donnelly. Smart finish, close range. It had been coming, and they lead Ross County. Remember, they're very, very near rivals in the table heading into today by 2-0.
Well, Derek McInnes would be beside himself if they didn't hold on to a 2-goal lead with 20 minutes to play at home. So I think that's done and dusted.
Big result, Hugh.
Yeah,
big result. I think that takes the pressure off of Kilmarnock, but obviously leaves Ross County in real trouble, because as it stands, Dundee are going to leapfrog them, and they'll be right into that danger zone.
Takes Kilmarnock to within 2 points of Hearts as things stand.
Yeah. So Ross County, I keep saying it, I would have loved to have followed Ross County. You never go know what you're getting 1 week to the other. They can pull out good results.
How would you love to follow Ross County? That's what I need to know.
Because I like teams that are,
as in you'd go and watch them,
unpredictable.
You'd go to Dingwall to watch the games. Okay,
I like Dingwall.
When was the last game you were at? Because you went through a wee stage, remember, that you were getting out to games.
The start of last season he went to a few, didn't he?
You're counting the crowd and all that. Remember that?
Yeah.
What happened? There was a wee period that you were loving it.
I think he thought he was some sort of scout for a while.
I like that. I like summer football. I'm all for a summer football.
Well, it's nearly there. Not
exactly.
today, right?
And I will be back round the grounds once the weather comes. I love a pre-season game. I really do.
Nobody likes pre-season games.
Cheaper though, easier to get comp tickets. That's why he likes them.
I like a wee pre-season.
So you can see the team's patterns and stuff.
Exactly,
and
the new players and how they're bedding into the club, and just be ready for Super Scoreboard on a Saturday.
Bonnyrigg Rose have scored, Hugh, against Spartan, so that improves their position at the bottom. East Kilbride are still leading in the playoff to meet them, but it's only 2-1 now to East Kilbride. They're down to 10 men.
It's a blow.
So it could be a bit of a nervy finish for East Kilbride. I think they've been forced into a couple of changes as well. It's maybe not as straightforward as it looked at one stage.
We're a bit biased here, obviously, being in the Central Belt, because we always hear about East Kilbride and the investment and the good football. Don't really know anything about Brora and the challenges that they bring.
Good side. 4-4-2 they play.
4-4-2. Two up top.
Two up top. Slater and I think it's a boy Brown. Good play.
Absolutely making that up. Václav Černy's ready.
By the way, that's believable.
That's convincing there.
Václav Černy's ready to come on, but there's been a goal first in Paisley.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Rangers must be sick of the sight of St Mirren this season. The Buddies have equalised with about 20 minutes, just under 20 minutes to go. The home side have enjoyed good spells in this game. They perhaps were unlucky to fall behind early on. They equalised straight away. They fell behind at the start of the second half, and they are level once again. There was a low ball across from former Rangers player Declan John, and there was Connor McMenamin sliding in on as a sub. He's had a miserable time of it due to injuries, so he will have enjoyed that. It is St Mirren 2, Rangers 2.
Sloppy afternoon for Rangers then.
VAR check for offside. Hold your thoughts. This is the problem. All this stuff about players don't know how to celebrate. We don't know how to react to goals. Take it away, Hugh, as if it has been given.
If it stands, sloppy afternoon for Rangers. If it's disallowed by VAR, big let off for Rangers, because this just has the feel of Celtic won the league earlier in the day, and a team going through the motions but not giving it their all.
We'll just wait and see. I'm telling you, we're the hidden victims of VAR, because you just. And I think Andrew's suggestion is he thought maybe he was in an offside position, but then you can never tell. That's the whole point. That's why they draw the lines.
Oh, it'll be sickening if it is for St Mirren.
Because the amount of chances St Mirren have had to even get that second goal will frustrate Stephen Robinson. By all accounts, have done pretty well. And that's what you get when you've got a team in the top six pretty relaxed.
I think it will really annoy Stephen Robinson if it is off, because it's not on Declan John, it's from the ball across. So Conor McMenamin probably doesn't need to be offside. It's quite a simple ball across and he can just tap it in, but he might have just strayed too far forward. But the goal stands.
Oh, there
St
you
Mirren
go.
2, Rangers 2.
And that's what I'm saying about whoever comes in there needs to address the situation at the back for Rangers. That's 20 goals in 11 games now.
Yeah.
And they give up so many chances.
I've always thought that Ibrox next weekend will of course be what Ibrox should look like and sound like when Celtic arrive. But I've always thought that the game before it and the games after it would be a different story for Rangers. They have to get worked up about Celtic because that's the nature of life in Glasgow. But today shows that they're in a lackadaisical frame of mind while Brendan Rodgers is talking about mentality.
I know it's not all about this and there are various reasons for doing it, but is there an issue there, Gordon, in that the theme of Barry Ferguson's reign has been a back three, back five? Is that not supposed to make you more solid at the back, first and foremost?
Yeah, and that's why he goes with the extra defender. He knew that St Mirren would go with two up top, be a handful, and he thought, right, okay, I'll go with the back five or the three plus the two wing backs. But it doesn't matter if it's a four or it's a five. I don't think they're good enough at the back. I think they will always give you up plenty of chances.
Cherney came on for Dessers, by the way.
Well, obviously Dessers getting his goal this afternoon. That's his race run. He'll be happy with the goal, but obviously maybe Barry's looking for a little bit something different in the closing 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
I think you wouldn't be surprised if St Mirren actually went on and won that in the balance of play. And what we're hearing, that they've been pretty decent. 2 goals, the miss in the first half, the sitter in the second half. Okay, Rangers have had a few opportunities as well, but it's been pretty positive from a St Mirren point of view. It's a great game for Andrew to watch.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. You suspect there could be more goals in this one, but as it stands, it's St Mirren 2, Rangers 2. St Johnstone are pushing hard for an equaliser. The game's in Motherwell's half and they cannot get out, so they're 3-2 up. That'll be very nervous. Raskins fouled Gogic and the St Mirren players are screaming for a second yellow. It will not be given, and of course VAR can't do anything about it, but you wonder if Barry Ferguson takes him off
just in case next weekend.
Yeah, they need him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He was instrumental in their win at Celtic Park.
He's also a very, what's the phrase I'm looking for, sort of all-out manager though, isn't he? Kind of gung-ho, is that the right? You can almost imagine that not being his style. Just go for it, take the risk, leave him on. Yeah,
you've got to sometimes trust in the player, but I think with the importance, and if you're Barry Ferguson, importance of next week and the important sort of a player he is in the middle of that park, I would be probably saying, right, okay, whether you think or not you get away with one, I would be sitting saying I'm making that substitution.
Do you take him off? Yeah,
100%.
Because if he doesn't do it, and there is another booking,
of a backfire, isn't it?
Then everyone's entitled to look at you and say, why didn't you take him off?
Well, Conor Barron's getting instructions from Barry Ferguson, so it might well be that is the case. Dundee are pushing now at Tynecastle again, and there are lots of boos. There are some fans in and around David Friel in that main stand are losing the rag. They're screaming at Neil Critchley.
Well, this doesn't end well. I'm not talking about today's game. I'm talking about the general situation. It has a bad look and feel about it all. And, Hearts can't be in that kind of predicament. Too big a club. Something's not right.
It's problematic, isn't it, Mark? Because not that MD cares what I think, but just to make my point here, I'm not necessarily sure that it's definitely the right thing to sack Neil Critchley. I just don't really get it, where we constantly sack managers, and like we said, he hasn't done terribly, the points and all that, but what it does do is it makes you go forward with no goodwill in the tank.
Yeah, and that's the problem, because at the start of the season there has to be optimism in your team. You have to have a good feeling behind you going into pre-season, and then your first few league games he's starting behind if he remains in charge.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
How big could this be? Aberdeen 1, Hibs 0, and it is a sensational finish from Kevin Nisbet into the top corner. That is not what the form table suggested. Hibs have been flawless for months, and they've fallen behind to a former Hibs striker in Kevin Nisbet with 10 minutes to go. What a finish.
I suppose you have to say, well, these things happen. Aberdeen are the Scottish Cup finalists. They're on the rebound from the win over Hearts last weekend. Hibs 17 in a row without defeat. It was bound to end one day. This could be the day.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. You're getting such a good run that you don't want to be negative, but it does have to come to an end, and just at the wrong time, because that's a huge game. David Gray would have taken a point and down the road back to Edinburgh, but it looks like it's going to be Jimmy Thielen's day.
Yeah, big result. Nisbet, he's back in form, back scoring goals. Obviously the boost getting into the Scotland squad as well, so he's a big player for him, and he'll be a big player in the cup final.
Apologise for the celebration. What do you think? Does he give it the Andy Halliday?
Does he? He's not doing that, is he?
No chance.
They all do it now. I think so. Yeah.
The AFC will not allow that.
They all do it.
Give us a break.
No, I would.
You've done your time for Hibs.
Exactly.
He's not a Hibs fan, is he?
He's also only on loan at Aberdeen though.
Might be looking for a move back to Hibs. I'd be apologising.
Yeah. Depends on the wages.
Tony Watt and Andy Halliday off. Moses Ibie and Davor Zrakowski coming on for Motherwell as they look to see this one out.
I think it's about now it'll be going through the players' minds. 10 minutes, Player of the Year dance. Come on, just get over the line.
It's funny because we said before the game a point probably secures safety for Motherwell, Gordon, but I don't think a point if you were 3-1 up feels so good.
No, and at home as well against the bottom of the table. You're expected to go out, especially the timing of the goals, second half right away. They get that 3-1 comfortable lead. I'm sure everybody at Fir Park, Motherwell minded, would have expected them to kick on and win that game comfortably.
Well, still 3-2 up, but 8 minutes to go of the 90, and then we'll see what else happens. Hugh, your teaser please, if you can.
Okay, I have played alongside Gylfi Sigurdsson and Ollie Burke. I've been managed by Ralph Rangnick. I've played in 3 countries, including Scotland, and appeared for my country. Who am I?
Thomas Patterson says Johnny Russell.
No.
He just got a move, didn't he? Did you see that?
Did he?
Was it Real Salt Lake, I think?
Yeah, he was
one
nice.
of the MLS sides.
Yeah.
I have to stick up for people across the country though, because they tweeted to say that a Highlander had joined them. John Russell's not Highlander,
from
is
Coatbridge.
Coatbridge. Are we just all Highlanders in the eyes of Americans?
We all wear kilts, chase the haggis.
Anyway, Alan Lappin thinks it could be Joe Inge Berget. Remember him?
Remember him?
Yeah.
Aye.
I think I've got it, mate.
Right, go for it. Give us it.
Write it down, please. Write it down.
Redeem yourself for spitting coffee everywhere.
Yes. No? Yeah, you've got it. I can see your page. Well done.
Now,
I wouldn't have got that.
I'll tell you what. How did he get that?
Hugh, remember what the bet I made with you earlier on?
Yeah.
I didn't want to reveal it because I then thought it would be obvious and people would check Twitter. People got that within a minute and a half.
Yeah.
That's honestly, our listeners, the knowledge they possess is incredible. They know their football inside
Did you
out.
say he's played for his country?
Yeah, he has. Can you believe it?
Where was my caps?
Did you say he played in Scotland?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's a VAR check for a St Johnstone penalty.
Stress over the other side of the desk.
Ref gave Motherwell a free kick and booked Ikpeatsu for simulation. Fraser's initial view is it didn't look like a penalty, but it didn't look like a dive. So VAR wouldn't take the booking away or anything in terms of if it wasn't a penalty. No penalty. So Motherwell still 3-2 in front. So Connor Barron's come on. not for Nicholas Raskin.
Oh, right, okay, interesting.
For Bailey Rice. I told you, I just feel like, I'm not saying it's right, it feels like a very Barry Ferguson thing to do, to sort of just say, you've made your own bed, go and deal with this, don't get sent off, and we'll see if that works out or not in the next 10 minutes.
I think Hugh's right. I think he, I'm all for it. You got to trust your players, but if this goes wrong for him, they start to question his decision making. You know, I think you should have went with the safety card and says, do you know what, we're 2-2, it's a difficult game, get him off and get him prepared for next week.
You get 10 minutes to go though. You've got an international footballer in a game that, with the best will in the world, I know they're trying to win it, but you're on a cup final here, you're on a scrap for your life. Can you trust them to just not commit a foul in 10 minutes? Don't dangle a leg anywhere. Don't even challenge, and don't challenge aerially. Do you know what?
You've just came up with an invention there, the safety card. Imagine you had a safety card on the bench for this occasion, and you could present it to wipe away a yellow card for one of your players. I'm going to play my safety card. And there you are, Raskin, you've got the safety card, so you could get another booting.
Would you make that substitution?
I would have played my safety card last night in 32 minutes to sure bank it.
Right now, would you have played the safety card?
I would have taken them off. Game next week's
100%.
too important.
Yeah, 100% for me. But look, at the end of the day, if he doesn't get booked,
does it affect your thought process that we're now in 10 minutes left? They're not 40 minutes here where he might have to make 10 minutes. Just don't tackle MD. Don't challenge anyone. Can they not manage that?
Well, as the song says, it only takes a second.
What song is that again?
It only take a second, love.
It's minute.
Take that there.
It only takes a second is not
is it a minute? It only takes a second.
Minute.
You're a fast operator though, aren't you?
Gary Barlow might charge you.
It only takes a minute then. There you go.
You're breaching Gary Barlow's copyright here.
I'm not good at songs.
Nadeem Brahmi has come on next for Clinton and Ciala.
Well, it shows me that Barry Ferguson has desperately tried to get a win here, because at the end of a week in which Celtic become champions and you have to play them next week, and you have said you'll make Rangers a better club, a 2-2 draw is not the best look. A win is a better look, not stunning because of the way in which you have achieved the win, but it's better than 2-2.
I don't think they ever finish the game with the same formation, do they? They chop and change her quite a lot. I know the modern day game does happen, but I think they'll be going to back four now. Bring on an attacking player. They start with a 3. I thought that he got it wrong in Europe when he went to a diamond at one point. And I thought Rangers with the 4 in the middle of the park looked okay, but he went with a diamond. They changed it. They're not frightened to change personnel, and they're certainly not frightened to change, obviously, the shape of the team. You just wonder, will it work?
Lots of anger at Tynecastle. Forrester fires miles over the bar, not particularly close to getting an equaliser, and the Hearts fans are furious.
Hard place to play now for the Hearts players.
Yeah.
Toxic environment.
And I go back to the as it stands table. They've got 4 games left. They're not winning matches. They're not scoring goals. And I don't think that you can exclude them from talk about the playoffs.
I think, Hugh, it's just the 40 points is too many though for the number of teams that are below you. Not officially, I would take your point, but how could they all realistically pass you? Because they need to play each other.
Yeah.
But listen, that doesn't mean the Hearts fans are going to be happy just to avoid relegation. So I would take your general point on their mood for sure. I don't think they'll be impressed whatsoever. 89 played there in that one at Tynecastle, so we're nearly there, and they've really not offered much at all, did they?
No, that would be the disappointing thing. I think everybody fancied Hearts, but all credit to Dundee. They're hanging in there. That's a valuable 3 points for them. It gives them a little bit of breathing space. And I know what Hugh's saying about Hearts sitting there in 40. I'm with you, Gordon. I think there are too many teams below. But you're looking at Ross
because
County.
as it stands, so County
will not make up 5 points,
and they've got the goal difference. So County need from today on. County need to outperform Hearts by 6 points at the same time as Dundee and Kilmarnock outperform Hearts. By Killie are 2 behind them currently as things stand, and Dundee are 3 behind them.
It's not happening.
I think it's just too many teams.
40 points it secures you. There's no doubt. Ross County, I think, now are in deep trouble. I don't even know who their next game is.
We won it up bottom 6.
Oh, I know that, but we've got to take
and
a
it
guess.
won't be Kilmarnock.
And narrows it down.
And I can tell you it's not Motherwell, I don't think, because is that not the last day of the season?
St Johnstone.
Don't tell me.
5 minutes added on for Dave Galloway at Pittodrie, where Aberdeen lead by a 1-0. What a massive result that could be at the top, because it would make them level on points. Hibs would have a superior goal difference, but it might make them level. Well, it will make them level on points. It's County Hearts next week.
Yeah, I see that.
Well, would you fancy Hearts at the present time to go to Dingwall and win?
No.
And then that would be the 2 points.
Yeah,
but other teams have still got to.
That's what I'm saying. It's number of teams. It's not the points gap. It's the number of teams that all need to make it up. 6 added for David Friel in that game at Tynecastle. Can they salvage something? Corner Rangers. It was Cherney with a powerful shot that Hemming pushed away.
Hearts will be fine, but it's the manner even of this result, the disappointment at the semi-final and the bottom 6, but then to kick off the bottom 6 with a home defeat again against Dundee, who are sitting second bottom, who everybody scores against Dundee. I mean, they've lost 71 goals this season, and you can't break them down at Tynecastle. That's where the bad feeling towards Neil Critchley and the team is at the minute, and that's what makes it incredibly difficult in the summer. But I still believe he should be given time. He's had one window. He took over Stephen Naismith's squad, so he's not had a lot to work with.
You can't keep just sacking managers. I know he's under severe pressure.
Possible Rangers penalty, VAR check, handball, very quickly not given. Move on, as you were. I think you should bring in a rule that every manager, to stop this all getting out of control, you can't sack a manager if he's not had a transfer, if he's not had a pre-season. Would you like to see that protect your industry?
No.
I mean, it's completely impossible to enforce probably, and I've dreamt it up off the top of my head. But it just feels like, do you know what I mean? It feels like it's all getting a bit mad.
I wouldn't sack a manager unless you had 2 transfer windows.
That's kind of the same thing then, almost. Yeah, because if you have 2, you'll have had a pre-season, no? No, is my calendar broken?
I don't know, I'm trying to work that one out. Aye, so you I'm trying to think. Well, if he goes in November, he's getting a transfer January. Okay. Well done, I'm going with your suggestion.
Because actually Fraser Wishart sent me an interesting piece of research during the week, which we can elaborate on, one night when we've got a bit of time. In Scotland, actually not doing so bad, but it was a kind of league table of when all the clubs get rid of managers and just how quick it is. So every club in Ecuador, every single club sacked their manager within a year. Every one of them.
How many clubs are there?
And Serie A is obviously better established, no offence, than Ecuador. They weren't actually far behind that. Every manager nearly within a year. That cannot be sustainable, I don't think. But whether you bring in, I don't know, some sort of made up guideline, who knows. Right, Hugh, you ready for this?
I am.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Gylfi Sigurdsson and Ollie Burke. I've been managed by Ralph Rangnick. I've played in 3 countries, including Scotland, and appeared for my country. I'm Marvin Compere.
Marvin Compere, remember him. Well done to Will M98, who was 3rd place. 2nd place was Cookie, and the 1st place, Hugh, I promised you, 1 minute 17 seconds.
Wow.
Scott Connie.
I can't believe he says he played in Scotland. Was it Morton he last did?
Played 1 game, didn't he? 38 minutes maybe.
Yeah, against Morton at Celtic Park, and that was career over.
If there's ever a sign of how desperate Hearts are, the 42-year-old goalie's up for a corner, in a bottom six game that's not that much riding on it. It shows you how negative the feeling is and how desperate they are to turn it around, but it has been cleared. Corner Rangers pretty much the last chance, you would say. There were 6 minutes added. We're about 5 into that. There might be more because there have been stoppages within the 6 minutes, and as I bore you with every week, it's worth remembering it's a minimum that gets added on and does account for further stoppages. So we'll see if anything happens. It would be late drama. I'm not sure if Rangers keep managing this because they've had a few late shows in their time. Craig Gordon's up again. He'll be knackered. The man of his age.
Up there. He'll be in bed early tonight. He'll be in bed early tonight.
You don't want to be getting up for corners at 42,
no,
do you?
And then having to sprint back if Dundee get the ball.
He commits a foul on Trevor Carson. Something about that subtly hints at what type of day it is for Hearts.
Yes, exactly, yeah. Fate is telling you something.
Yeah, not a vintage afternoon, and I'd be very keen to hear the reaction. The ball ends up in the net actually, but the free kick had been given. The full-time whistles are starting to go. I'm just going to pause just in case to see if we can get to Hearts or Paisley first to check in on the booing, if there is any. I don't know if Rangers fans have got any left in them, do they care? It's full-time at Rugby Park as well. I might have this taken away from me, might have to start going around the grounds. Just wanted to try and get the angry reaction from various venues if we can. But I don't think we're going to get any late drama now, are we? Still for Park, perhaps? Is there an equaliser in there for St Johnstone?
No, I think Motherwell will see that out. I really do. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, it's full time for Park as well. It's all the venues that don't have any rage. Right, I think we'll just need to nip it in the bud, and we'll get back to it. We can ask the guys. Dave Galloway was first. Full time Pittodrie.
Yeah, full time. Aberdeen 1, Hibs 0. The first half was lively from the word go. The hosts started brightly, but Boyle went close for the visitors, shooting low and hard from the edge of the box. It went just wide in the end. Campbell should have done better after Obita's free kick to the back post, heading narrowly past. He really should have hit the target. At the other end, Bushiri with 2 great blocks to deal with shots by Gay and Keskinen as Aberdeen pushed for the opener. The Dons starting to get on top. Nisbet turns neatly in the box, but his shot didn't trouble Smith. However, Hibs had a goal disallowed after 42 minutes from a corner kick. The ball went over the line off Knooster. It would have been an OG, but it was ruled out for a foul on Mitov. Plenty openings, but sharpness lacking in both boxes in that first half. Hibs made a pretty decent start to the second period. Campbell's header from Chris Cadden's cross wasn't far away, but the visitors looked content to knock the ball about, with Aberdeen at this stage offering little threat. Bushiri passed up a golden chance to put Hibs ahead, but headed Obita's corner over. A face-palm moment there for him. Nisbet netted for the Dons with a fine finish high into the net from Ockel's cutback, but the celebrations were very quickly cut short when the flag went up for offside. There was a real lack of creativity from both teams in that second half. The game was crying out for some quality, and boy, didn't we get it on 80 minutes, with Aberdeen going ahead with a quite sensational strike from Nisbet. Shinney's cross was headed clear, and Nisbet on the edge of the box controlled the ball on his chest before firing a magnificent effort over Smith and into the top corner of the net. And it was so close to 2-0 when Dabag burst through the middle. His shot was brilliantly turned round the post by Smith, who also did superbly to keep out McGrath's effort. So Aberdeen end Hibs' record equalling unbeaten league run to draw level on points with them in third place. It's finished Aberdeen 1, Hibs 0.
Finished in Paisley as well, Andrew McLean.
St Mirren 2, Rangers 2, the full-time score. Barry Ferguson wanted 5 wins from 5 post-split, but his team have fallen at the first hurdle. A game of plenty of drama and entertainment, but one that will leave the Rangers interim boss frustrated. Another big one for the Buddies, who took points off of Rangers once again. Both sides were lacking quality in that first half. Cyril Dessers blazing a shot over the bar from a good area in the box, and Mikael Mandron at the other end couldn't find a target after being gifted a good chance by Liam Kelly. Both sides got a goal before the break though. Nicholas Raskin finding Dessers just inside the St Mirren box. The ball was kind of under his feet a wee bit, but he got a good low shot away past Hemming for the opener. The Buddies responded almost instantly though. A long throw into the box falling to Mark O'Hara, and he drilled it past Liam Kelly for the leveller, but Rangers got back ahead pretty quickly after the break. Nicholas Raskin driving towards the St Mirren box. He had a low left-footed shot that went into the corner past Henning for 2-1, but St Mirren were never going to give this up, and they were going to keep on battling. They made their changes and they got that equaliser. Declan John with a low ball across the face of goal, and substitute Conor McMenamin got on the end of it, sliding in to get that goal and grab the hosts a point and make it 3 games unbeaten against Rangers. The full-time score in Paisley: St Mirren 2, Rangers 2.
Well, Rangers fans, it's another game without a victory. Do you have any frustration and anger left? Give us a call right now, please, and let us know. It's finished at Tynecastle. I think they've got some anger left, David Friel.
A fair bit of anger left, Gordon. Full-time Hearts 0, Dundee 1. We expected drama. What a huge win for Dundee. What a bad day for Hearts. Neil Critchley's just walked up the tunnel maybe a minute or so ago, head bowed, and no wonder the punters are lining up to give him abuse. They are not happy with their team. They're not happy with their manager. He is under serious pressure, but let's give Dundee huge credit. Massive win in the context of their season. Simon Murray was the hero again. 22nd goal of the season, piling on the agony for Hearts. Tony Docherty's side move up to 10th, out of the playoff spot. They've surely removed any kind of lingering fear of automatic relegation. They were outstanding to a man, but clearly so much of the fallout from this game will be about Hearts, and just yet another nightmare day for Critchley and his players. The home fans had turned long before the end, and it's fair to say the manager is now facing serious questions. Both sides, good chances in the first half. George Grant was denied by a Trevor Carson wonder save. He made a mess of a chance from close range too. Seb Palmer holding, he should have scored from 6 yards. Simple header, put it wide, but Dundee can always rely on Simon Murray, and he claimed the opener in 38 minutes. Scott Tiffany's cross, half cleared by Jamie McCart, ball fell to Murray and he fired past Craig Gordon. Hearts were out early for the second half. Neil Critchley clearly had words to say. He also made a string of changes, but Dundee defended really well, and they always carried a threat on the break. Hearts had some half chances. Elton Kabangu, Cammy Devlin sent efforts wide, but Trevor Carson wasn't really worked until the end when he made a superb stop from Kenny Vargas. Craig Gordon came up for 2 corners towards the ends. That showed you how desperate Hearts were. He challenged Trevor Carson, a foul was given against him, the ball ended up in the net. Craig Gordon not happy about it. There was a quick VAR check, but the goal did not stand. So overall a huge win for Tony Docherty, but Neil Critchley and Hearts under major pressure now. Full time, Hearts 0, Dundee 1.
What about Fir Park, Fraser Wishart?
Yeah, a day of contrasting emotions, fluctuating emotions for the Motherwell fans, Gordon. Indeed, Motherwell 3, St Johnstone 2, but they were worried early on when they were behind to a Mackenzie Kirk goal. Feeling comfortable with goals just either side of the break from Slattery, Katumbas and Sparrow, but then they were back to worry towards the end. The Elliott Watt goal gave St Johnstone hope, but Motherwell managed to see the game out. Motherwell had a half-time lead, but they fell behind after 6 minutes. Josh McPake did really well on the left-hand side, used his pace. Looked like the ball might be going out, but he slid in to cut the ball back, and then in came Mackenzie Kirk, arriving late, 12 yards out, powered the side foot shot, brilliant finish into top right hand corner. Motherwell struggled to create much until the 39th minute. Tony Watt on the left hand side cut the ball back, and Callum Slattery, the first time low shot past the goalkeeper, real power with his side foot shot from about 16 yards. 90 seconds later it was 2-1 to the home side. Watt again involved, he drifted onto the ball on the left, outside of his right foot with a cross right across 6 yard box. Johnny Katumbas, the centre back, came in at the back post and scored off defender Sven Sprangler. Some people were giving the goal to the St Johnstone captain because Katumbas miscued it, but whatever happens, it was 2-1 to Motherwell at the break. 48 minutes, Motherwell did get the cushion they wanted. It was 3-1. Dominic Thompson did really well on the left hand side. He was fouled, but a good advantage by Stephen McLean allowed Thompson to get up, and his low cross was turned home by Sparrow 6 yards out. A real sense of relief around Fir Park. Simo Valakari reacted, he brought on Ikpeazu and Watt, and he got a reaction from both almost immediately. A big striker almost scored. He got a touch to McPake, knocked down but smothered by Balcombe. Tony Watt, again, he's enjoyed himself playing up front on the left hand side. He lifted the ball to the back post. Sparrow got a really good header, but unfortunately for him it was straight at Fisher. And then 66 minutes the game swung to the other end, and a bit of life to St Johnstone. Elliott Watt gave them a real lifeline with an excellent strike from 25 yards low into the keeper's right hand corner, right into the corner. No chance for Balcombe. Then the nerves returned for the Motherwell fans. St Johnstone got a real lift from the goal. McPake's shot took a deflection, it looped onto the top of the net. Some fans thinking the ball was into the back of the net. A rare foray into St Johnstone box. Tony Watt brought a good save from Fisher, and try as they hard as they did, they just couldn't test Balcombe enough, the St Johnstone players, and deep into stoppage time. 96 minutes, Ikpeazu got his head to a ball at the back post, but it went a yard wide, and that was the last hurrah for St Johnstone. They'll feel, I think, there's an opportunity missed. There was times when they played really well in this game, but it now looks bleak for them. But 3 points should mean that Motherwell will not be in the playoffs this season. Full time at Fir Park, Motherwell 3, St Johnstone 2.
Let's speak to Roger Hannah, who watched Kelly Ross County.
Yeah, Kilmarnock 2, Ross County 0. Gordon Kelly have eased their relegation worries, but the Staggies have dropped into the Premiership's bottom 2 tonight. Bruce Anderson with a first half header, Liam Donnelly a second half shot, Kelly the outstanding player in the pitch, and Danny Armstrong, and it was a deserved victory for Derek McInnes' side after 3 league defeats to County this season. They even recovered from the loss of captain Brad Lyons to injury in the warm-up. The opener 36 minutes, Armstrong's cross deep to the back post. Anderson wanted it more than anyone in a red County shirt and boomed his header, squeezing it in past Jordan Amesa at the near post. Kelly looked set for a second goal early in the second half, but they had to wait until 69 minutes when it finally arrived. A low shot by Northern Ireland cap Donnelly after the ball fell kindly to him in the box. They're now 9 clear of St Johnstone, 3 ahead of County with a superior goal difference. County must have just one effort on target in 90 minutes. That was late on and easily saved by Kelly keeper Kieran O'Hara. That's now 5 straight defeats for Don Cowie's men. They're badly out of form at the wrong time of the season. They've got Hearts in the Highlands next week, but they might need yet another playoff to spare them in the Premiership once more. Kilmarnock 2, Ross County 0.
And now it's over to you. What have you made of today's football? 01419511025. Celtic fans, you are champions again. You'll be used to this feeling, but talk to us specifically about this one. What about the way you got over the line? Yet another devastating attacking display at times. A 5-0 win away to Dundee United. What pleased you about the performance today, the game itself, and of course overall then? How does it feel to have won the league again? What's been special about this one? What were the standout moments, etc, etc? Give us a call right now and we'll take your calls as soon as we can. In terms of the 3 o'clock games, Rangers fans, try and sum up how desperate you are for this season to end, because it is yet another game against St Mirren without a victory. It is a 2-2 draw on the day. What is happening? What needs to happen from here? What did you make of it today? Give us a call. Huge wins for Kilmarnock, for Motherwell, for Aberdeen. Hearts fans, what about you though? Boos, abuse towards Neil Critchley. How are you feeling? We'll do the lot. We'll do as much as we can if you give us a call right now. 0141 951 1025.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
What a busy day across Scottish football. The Premiership title race looked over a long time ago, but it was officially ended today, and well done to Celtic. So Celtic fans, how do you look back on it all? The game today in isolation, the performances, the goals, and of course the bigger picture. Yet another title. What's been good about this one? How do you feel your dominance looks overall? What does this mean for the team, for Brendan Rodgers, for these players, etc? Give us a call right now please on 0141 951 1025. That's the positivity. There's always room for a bit of negativity, and of course that would imply that Hearts fans would be the ones we're looking to speak to. Rangers fans, Hugh, because it's been a good day for some and a bad day for others.
Well, for the Rangers fans, it's been an uneventful day. Celtic have won the title, but their team have flitted in and out of the game against St Mirren. It finished a 2-2 draw. The consequence of the 2-2 draw is that should Celtic go to Ibrox next weekend and win, Celtic would go 20 points ahead of Rangers. Now that's a kind of symbolic moment. Celtic are already the champions, I understand that, but when you go 20 points ahead of Rangers, that's a moment to pause for reflection and establish how great the gap is between these two clubs.
And away from that, Mark, some set of results elsewhere.
Well, a terrific result for Aberdeen, because that was the big one in the race for third place, and Jimmy Thielen's side have been on a roller coaster of a season. At one stage it looked like they were up there challenging, and then were going to be nailed on for third. Then looked like they couldn't win a game, but when it came down to the big one today, they've managed to get the job done, so that puts them in a good position. And for Motherwell, you know, to go behind and then claw up back and end up with 3 points, they are secure. So a good afternoon for them.
Not so good if you're a St Johnstone fan, travelling back up to Perth after watching your side basically get relegated. That's well and truly gone now. I agree with Mark. The big results were obviously St Mirren once again, a thorn in Rangers' side. You've got Aberdeen, that's a great victory for them. That puts a bit of pressure on Hibs as well. And obviously the game at the beginning of the programme, Celtic really on fire today, cruised by Dundee United.
Thomas is first through on the phones. How are you, Thomas?
I'm fine. I'm happy. Aye.
I'll bet you are. What jumps out then? What's the main emotion on the day that your team wins another title?
Obviously, I'm over the moon. I did think we would win, but I didn't think we would win 5-0, to be honest with you. But I heard you saying about Celtic fans winning the league, but I think it's just as important about the manager and what the manager says after the game today. So many people in Scotland are desperate to push him out of the league, desperate to get him away from Celtic. And what he said today is confirmed. He ain't going anywhere in a hurry. He'll need to be pushed out of Celtic. So I think this is just the start of something for Celtic. I don't think this is Rodgers back to doing got another league and he's off again. I think he actually seen the progress of this year in the league and in Europe, and I think the board would have seen that and they'll back him.
It's been interesting, I've got to say, the last few months. People deciding where I was supposed to go on, and I wasn't happy. But what I can tell you, and I would say, listen to what I say, not what people try to anticipate my mood and what I might be. I can tell you, I said 150%, 200%. I'll be here for sure, and next season, because we want to build again and we want to grow. But what I'll also say, there's very, very few people that know me, and there's even less understand me. So that's a really, really small group of people. So when I see all the headlines and I don't have an agent, so I don't have an agent spinning a story for me or anything like that. It's just a guess. So if there's a headline out there, I am telling you, and you guys, it's a guess, because I have hardly anyone who knows what I think and actually understands how I work. But so happy. I came back because of my the professional challenge of Celtic, knowing the pressures. My emotional attachment to the club clearly has me here rather than be elsewhere, and just the chance to be the most, to be the best manager at Celtic that I can possibly be, and days like today makes it really special.
So that's music to your ears then, Thomas?
Definitely. It's I think it's a calm. I don't know the percentage of Celtic fans that really believed they would go. Personally, I didn't think there was a chance he would go, and I do think he loves the club, but I do think it's as much about hurting his family too. I think it devastated his family, and I think that hurt him just as much. It's
a great line, that, Hugh. There are few people that know me, and even fewer that understand me.
Yeah,
that's a bit like you. I can see you coming out with something like that.
That's philosophy gone mad. But I could truthfully say that I have never done anything other than offer the opinion that Brendan Rodgers is synonymous with success at Celtic and will continue to be successful with Celtic for as long as he cares to stay. And I've never deviated from my belief that he's the most important man at the club. And I began this programme 6 hours or 5 hours ago by saying that he was on the road to managerial immortality if he wins the treble this season, because no Celtic manager in the club's history has ever won 3 trebles. And last night on the programme, when I said to you, Jock Stein, immortal, the number 1 Celtic manager, that will never ever change. But for me, Brendan Rodgers is number 2.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon, I think Thomas makes quite a good point, because there's the league is won, obviously, which we sort of known for a while, but it was done in style. There's also a League Cup already there, a Scottish Cup possibly to be added, and for the first time in a long time, it doesn't even come with that caveat of but found out in Europe, or Europe should have been so much better. There is none of that this season.
No, I think he learned his lesson when he come back up. I thought his preparation for the close season, he goes over to America pre-season, takes on the big boys. Yes, the squad wasn't as strong, but they started off where they meant to be, Gordon. Their European campaign was very good. Their league form's been good. They've built a good squad. Look, he's made big decisions. He's really, asked his players to step up, and they've certainly done that in the last few weeks. They're deserved champions. You would back them all the way to go and add to a treble, because they're going back to Hampden, where Brendan Rodgers has never lost. And most of the Celtic players feel that that's their second home. So it's great news for everyone concerned, because look, he will be targeted by clubs, and because his reputation up here. I know he had a go down at Leicester, and I thought he was successful at Leicester, obviously, but
certainly initially,
yes. But I just think that it's music to the Celtic fans' ears, especially in a day that they clinch the title.
Let's thank Thomas for his thoughts and move to Fraser on the other line. How would you sum up your feelings today, Fraser?
Hi guys, thanks for having me on. So first of all, I just want to say that in my lifetime watching Celtic, I'm in my 20s, so I haven't so much into Martin O'Neill's time before that, but from what I saw, this has become the normality. It almost feels numb in the sense that you don't appreciate it in the way that other teams might do, but looking at the performance today and seeing what happened in the pitch is an incredible achievement. To have lost the title back in 2021, I feared that we might be reaching a point where it went back to sort of equal balance where both teams won it season about. But to respond to that by winning 4 titles in a row and 2 trebles in that time, to reaffirm that dominance, is just not normal. You don't see it in other countries with dominant teams like an Ajax or a Benfica. It's so particular to Celtic that it's something to be really proud of, and anything the club can do to keep Brendan Rodgers not just next season but beyond that is absolutely critical, because I don't want to talk about Rangers, but if you look at the takeover and what's coming up there, I think you'll fancy the challenge of whoever they might bring in and seeing what that brings next season. That might give an edge to it for him that he wants to challenge himself with. So massive credit to the team. It was a brilliant performance. They've really picked it back up in the last few weeks, and just look to see what they can do now with the cup final in a few weeks' time.
It's a fair point Fraser makes. Fraser's a young man. I don't know exactly what year he was born to, but if you go that 2001, so it's turn of the century, whatever, 19 titles for Celtic in that time. 19 out of 25 or whatever it is. If you are that age, if you're of that generation, or even if you're a bit older, it's just been verging on constant since then.
It's now reached a stage where I read Callum McGregor in the week saying that if Celtic don't win a treble, people think it's a bad season. If you only win 2 out of the 3. Of course life is not like that, but Brendan Rodgers is beginning to make it look like that, and that's why he's so important to Celtic. And today, 4 in a row. I would also take you back to the day that Ange Postecoglou came in. They went to Hearts at Tynecastle on the Saturday evening. They lost 2-1 there, and that was on the back of the season that was supposed to bring 10 titles in a row falling apart on Celtic. So Ange Postecoglou deserves his share of the credit for establishing the base from which Brendan Rodgers took over and got another 2 titles. Ange got 2, Brendan's now got 2. And I never forget that Brendan Rodgers come back with people saying we don't want him back. Now, you'll never ever find someone coming onto this programme now and repeating those words, but plenty were willing to do so when Brendan Rodgers came back, and he has shown himself to have risen above all of that and to have delivered 2 titles, improved Celtic in Europe, and now seems to have the bit between his teeth to go a step further next season as well. And the summertime talks with Dermot Desmond, I think, should be partly devoted to getting Brendan Rodgers to sign a contract extension.
Yeah, I think that's what all Celtic fans want. I think Hugh makes a great point that he come back under the circumstances that a lot of people called this show and were outraged with the fact that he had come back because of what happened when he left for Leicester. But there'll not be one Celtic fan now even talking about that. It's all about the future. And I think it was Fraser that says the takeover from Rangers. I think that would excite Brendan Rodgers. He needs competition. He's a top football manager, top coach. He wants competition, and I think he'll thrive in that. And that's why I think today he's saying, look, there's 200% I will still be at Celtic Football Club next season. And I think that's good news for everyone.
He said that on day one when he came in, and I remember people saying, well, I don't trust him one bit. He says I will be here in 3 years' time, and he's true to his word. But he also has to back that up by winning games and winning trophies. So that was a hard thing to do. Win over the trust again of the Celtic fans, but do it by being a successful team that are good to watch. And that's the difference. You know, you can't just be a successful team at Celtic. You have to do it in style. Hugh's mentioned that several times today. Now, not every game is going to be won like that, but the majority have been. That's what makes him an elite manager. And we said on the show, I remember saying that he was an elite manager coming back to Celtic. People say, no, he wasn't, because he failed down south. I don't think he did fail down south. I know he lost his job, but name a manager who hasn't lost his job.
He won an FA Cup and 2 5th-place finishes, didn't he?
Unbelievable.
There's got to be degrees
for
of,
a smaller
of
club in
success
England.
and failure.
Yeah, so there's no doubt he's a elite manager, but it's Europe he wanted to make his mark, and I certainly think he's progressed. He certainly has progressed. Celtic, they get out the new Champions League format group, they get into a big tie, and they give a good account of themselves. He'll be looking to take that one step forward again next season.
Thank you to Fraser, who makes some good points. Plenty more time to air yours when we return.
The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Hugh Keevins, Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson are here. Lots of compliments coming into Celtic, understandably, on the day they win the title. I'm sure we will take many more, and we'll try and hear from managers as well. So there's a lot to squeeze in between now and 6 o'clock. So let's crack on with Mark, who's in Giffnock. How are you, Mark?
Good evening, Paul. How are we?
Good, thank you. Good. What did you witness in Paisley?
Obviously, I've been on the show for 25 years. Unfortunately, I've witnessed Celtic win a lot of trophies, as well as Rangers over the years. But this has got a different feel to it. If I was just disappointed that Celtic are having a party, then fair enough, that's normal, that's what you call Glasgow. But this is very different, and what I've witnessed coming out of the game today at St Mirren is the word to sum up Rangers this season, and right now, is disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. 3 games to St Mirren, they've not won, they've lost 2 of them today. Well, they didn't lose, but it feels like a loss. Disgraceful. The attitude of the players, honestly, Ferguson, not a chance of staying on now. But the next 4 games are a busted flush, and I include, for the first time, I never thought I'd say this, because a Rangers-Celtic game, it always means something, but honestly, now, to the Celtic supporter, it will mean something, but this is the season's done now for Rangers. So the next 4 games are a total waste of time from Rangers' point of view. Ferguson's got no chance, not even staying on as a coach, absolutely no chance. Press conference yesterday talking about I want them to get 15 points. They can't get a point. They struggle to get a point against St Mirren. So his chances now, but there wasn't a chance anyway, but that's done. The players, the attitude, the captain, he's been there 10 years, Tavernier. Listen, he cost £200,000. You can't say anything about the guy. He's got a good attitude. He's a professional footballer. He tries, he cares, but he's not good enough, and he's not been good enough for years as a captain. And they're about to announce a testimonial for him next week. Forget that. Don't even insult us by announcing that. Let him just go out the door and thank you for your time, Tav. So that can be put to bed. But another point, and listen, this isn't speculation. There's a shisha bar on the south side of Glasgow that I like smoking shisha in, which is perfectly legal. It's a lovely, lovely bar. I get on well with them all. Bajrami, one of the Rangers players, in there 3 times a week, smoking a shisha, relaxing when he's off. He's not breaking any laws, but he's in there smoking, chilling out. I know guys spending £15,000 businesses on Rangers every year, and that's the attitude of the current mob of players in smoking shisha in a shisha lounge on the south side of Glasgow. So the attitude of the Celtic players, of the Celtic manager, has been incredible. I can't say a word, but the attitude of Rangers, the way the club's been run, is disgraceful. That's the word I would use, disgraceful.
I need to take Mark's word for it on how he spends his time and how the Rangers players spend. I'll need to take you down there, Hugh Keevins. You and Mark could go together tonight and relax. But disgraceful. And do you know what struck me there, actually, because Mark was talking about, that's yet another game against St Mirren, and it feels like everybody knows that the headline failure from Rangers is nowhere we're winning the league. That's kind of all that matters. But apart from then, the head-to-head against Celtic, all these little micro benchmarks that you're trying to hit like that, you can't beat St Mirren over a few games. The home run they went on, the away run they went on earlier in the season, all that sort of stuff. Like, by every small measurement, it seems like they've come up short.
Since 2011, Rangers have been in a turbulent, chaotic, financially unhealthy state. And that's why they need 49ers Enterprises, The only point that I disagree with Mark on is that next week, when Rangers play Celtic, the players will put in a shift, because it would be a form of industrial misconduct not to do so in a game against Celtic. But the club crying out for investment, Mark's right, things have reached the lowest point now. If Celtic do win next weekend, they go 20 points ahead of Rangers. He's also right, Mark, when he says Barry Ferguson will not get the job. It just will not happen now. It was always a long shot. It's now in the fanciful category. Rangers need to make this takeover work, because it's the last chance.
Yeah, it's been a tough time for Barry Ferguson, because I think when you get the job interim, you need to really make a mark, especially a club as big as Rangers, because it's been going one way this season under Philip come on, and some really poor results. So you really need to make a difference, especially domestically. And I think, is that 7 league games? They've failed to win 4 of those, even the ones that they did win. Again, you're looking at goals conceded against Kilmarnock early on, and he has to change things. Dundee, so they've had to scrap and change things to fight their way back into those games to win. So not necessarily blitzing teams, and that's what's going to work against them getting the job permanently.
I don't see, just on that.
Yeah,
I did sort of bring this up quite a bit at the start when he got maybe one or two good results or one or two good moments in games. I said it was important to remember that the sample size is so small. So what it means is that everything then becomes knee-jerk. You get one good result, people are over the moon. Something bad, then it flips the other way. Are we now at a point where, if this goes on any longer, maybe we're there already, but if it goes on any longer, you might say it's actually got worse since Philippe Clement left? Is that what Barry Ferguson has to now guard against?
Yes. Look, I can't speak highly enough of Barry Ferguson, the job that he's done pulling the club together. That's what he was really put out there for. The fans were leaving their droves after the Queen's Park, and it was a real low point for Rangers as a football club. And obviously Clement loses his job. Barry came in there and he pulled everything together, because the supporters realise what the club means to Barry Ferguson, Neil McCann, Dodds and McGregor. But going forward, you have to look at the bigger picture. You're looking at a manager across the city that's going to probably, unless something drastic happens, win another treble. He never loses at Hampden. So if you're the new owners coming in there, and as much as people say, well, Barry Ferguson went up against Brendan Rodgers being Celtic, but it's over a course and distance. It's a different ball game, a one-off game. Anybody, he could end up beating them next week as well. But over a course and distance, I think Rangers need something that's going to mirror a Brendan Rodgers.
I take it there's a lot that annoys you or concerns you, or whatever the word would be, Mark, about the players as well, this Rangers team, based on what you see today.
Shocking, absolutely shocking. Ferguson's only responsible for the last few games. I mean, Tavernier, a captain. See, I look back to the days of Richard Gough, John Gregg. They'd have them up the sandpits tonight, running around, and I know these days are gone. Or in at Ibrox, running around the pitch. But it's an embarrassment to call him a captain. So forget testimonial nonsense. Thank you, good night. They cannot possibly announce a testimonial for James Tavernier. But the attitude of the players stinks. That I have to tell you, stinks. Because you can lose a league, you can lose games, but a lot of them don't seem to care. There's guys that clearly do care, the likes of Big John Souttar, Raskin, maybe build a team around them next year. But majority of them guys in smoke 3 times a week in cafes in Glasgow. How does that look for the support? So honestly, there needs to be a huge, huge change from the very top to the very bottom. And it wouldn't surprise me if Rodgers signs a new contract with Celtic, and we still haven't done a deal in terms of the 49ers buying the club. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in the next few weeks.
I think Mark needs to get up that lounge and relax.
Yeah,
and if Nadeem Barami's lawyers are listening, you're more than welcome to give us the right of reply if this was mistaken identity. I'm now worried. I thought I'd heard it all in this show, Hugh.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But just with regard to James Tavernier, I think Mark's a little cruel there, if you don't mind me saying so. He's put in his 10 years at Rangers. The club deem him worthy of a testimonial. It's Mark's prerogative to attend or not attend, but it's Rangers' prerogative to stage the testimonial match. I go back to the big picture. Since 2011, Rangers have, while Celtic have been synonymous with success, Rangers have been synonymous with turbulence on and off the park, chaos on and off the park, and a financial state of health that's not good. That's why there's a takeover.
You got plans tonight?
Have I got plans tonight?
You, Hugh, Mark?
Yeah, we're going to the cafe.
We'll
be, 3 times a week I'll be going.
Okay.
I've got to go on Tuesday afternoon before I come on, just to see if it will relax me.
Thank you to Mark on the line. Very unhappy with what he witnessed in Paisley today. What about James in Drumchapel? Hi, James. Sorry, James, that was my fault. Start again.
How you doing?
Got
alright?
you, James. Got you now. Take it away.
Aye, I'm alright, guys. It's just that last caller yet again. It doesn't matter what James Tavernier does in a Rangers jersey. He will always be the whipping boy with some people. The man cost us £250,000 and he has outscored our strikers for a number of years. He's outscored Morelos, who is treated like a god at Ibrox for some reason. But this man seems to get it in the neck week in and week out. Unless Tavernier's scoring a hat-trick and firing balls into the top corner week in and week out, he can't do any right, and it's an absolute disgrace. You've got Rangers fans coming on that station and having a go at him. He's the only one that has stepped up for Rangers time after time. He steps up to take the big penalty kicks in games. It's not given to score these goals. He's still got to step up, and I'm sick and tired of so-called Rangers fans having a go at the only guy. Maybe if we had another 10 players like James Tavernier, we would go on a lot better.
I would agree with James rather than Mark. I think James Tavernier has been an incredible signing, an incredible player for Rangers throughout the years. And Hugh touched on it, that his time at Rangers has coincided with a turbulent period off the pitch where managers are chopping and changing, the finances, they cannot match Celtic. But he was still pivotal in that year that they did win the trophy and get to a European final. So, that's to be celebrated. But he's quite quickly brought down by Rangers fans when things are going badly, because he is the captain, because he wears the armband. And that's the price that the captain of either Celtic or Rangers pays when the other is being so successful. Because others will come and go, but because of the longevity in Tavernier's Rangers career, and that's quite right, because he's been a top player, because he wears the armband, people think he should be doing more constantly. Has he got flaws? Of course he's got flaws defensively, but there's a lot more problems at Rangers than James Tavernier over the years.
Is there any middle ground, James, where maybe you are right in that you can't argue with what he's contributed and you think he's the least of Rangers' problems, but also this has all just been hanging over the place too long, and he's become associated with difficult periods at the club, and then it's just best for everyone that you find a new option? Do you see what I mean? Just kind of meeting in the middle somewhere.
I do agree that eventually time catches up with everybody. Of course it does, and you've only got a certain period of time at a club. But I just think over the piece, for what he's obviously done for us, we've got a guy at the other end of the park that needs about 22 shots to try and get one on target. He's through 1-on-1 today. He scores that, we win 3-2, and then nobody's having a go at Tavernier. We have got bigger problems at the club right now than James Tavernier. I remember watching Stephen Davis as captain. He wasn't the most vocal of guys. He wasn't the most guy that was running about shouting and bawling at folk. I've grew up with guys like Richard Gough, Terry Butcher, etc. Obviously they're being loud and whatever on the park. But football has now changed over the years. All the last managers that Rangers have had, they've kept Tavernier as the captain. So was Gerrard trying to keep him as a captain?
See, rather than yet another James Tavernier debate, because I think you've put up the defence pretty well, James. The previous caller made his point. Give me your general thoughts on things right now, and after the game today and so on.
I just think that I wish the season would end now, so we can obviously try and get this takeover done. I'm looking forward to it. I do believe that when the 49ers do come in, there will be big changes. I'm just hoping that we're going to get, because this is going to be a massive appointment now as a manager, they have to get it right. They've got to get a guy in that is well respected. He knows what to do. He's a winner. He's going to bring in winners as well for me, because I don't think we have a lot of that in the Rangers team. I think we're quite piled up at times. You know, we've got guys like Nico Raskin and Diamonde. For me, I think I would get rid of Diamonde. I just don't think the guy does enough. That might not be my proper decision with a number of Rangers fans. But for me, I just don't think he does enough. He goes hiding. He's all right when we're winning games, but you don't need that. When you're at Rangers, you need to win every single game. You need to, rise above that. You need to start digging results out. But going forward, it's a massive, massive summer for us, and I just hope that whoever is coming in gets the job done. But more importantly, we're going to need money to try and get anywhere near Celtic, and if we don't, then guys, I can see them going on to dominate Scottish football for the next 7, 8, 9, 10 years. They'll probably end up doing 11 in a row, 12 in a row if we don't get it right this year.
Hugh will still be here for that, don't worry. Thank you to James in Drumchapel. Plenty more time to reflect on Paisley or that title win. Celtic fans, what are you thinking now? Give us a call. We'll speak to you next.
After they play, you have your say. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson, Gordon Dalziel all here reflecting on a big day across Scottish football, one which saw Celtic officially become Premiership champions. We've known for a while it was in the making, but they got over the line in some style today. Ewan is in Oban. How good was it today, Ewan?
Hi there, Gordon. Hi there, panel. How are you all doing? You alright?
All good. How are you? Pretty good after today, I'd imagine.
Very, very good, Gordon. Yep. Just wanting to sort of allude to, firstly, some of the callers that have, especially one that was saying that, he's claiming to be a Celtic fan, saying that it's getting a bit sort of boring. I don't really know where he's coming from there with that, to be honest with you. I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't.
He's talking about the first caller. I don't think he said it was boring, was he?
Did he use the word boring? Did he say that it was a bit?
No, I think he just brought up the fact that he's of an era where he's got nothing but success. But he said there was no team in Europe like us. It was all very complimentary. Yeah, I think there was one line in there where he said maybe it doesn't mean as much as if it was a smaller team. I mean, look, you take that point as an example, right? See if St Mirren won the league, you need to shut down Paisley for 6 weeks. So I think that's what people mean. It's not about taking anything away from Celtic.
This whole thing about boring and tedious, it's of no consequence to Brendan Rodgers, and it's of no consequence to the Celtic players, because, as Brendan Rodgers said today, it's about their mentality and their ability to work their socks off. These are the things that he said today, and that they have the club values at heart, and that when they are needed to turn up, they turn up. So Celtic are in a very, very good place, and Celtic know that.
Look, maybe it was crossed wires, Ewan. I think he was being quite complimentary. But anyway, give us your own take on how good it was and how good this season's been.
Firstly, again, I want to say that the show last night I thought was presented absolutely brilliantly. Yourself, Scott Allen and Hugh Keevins, again, just was remarkable. I think Scott Allen plays off him very well. I thought Hugh was come into his own brilliantly last night. The way he spoke about Celtic and James Forrest, I thought it was... I would, again, agree with you what he said about Brendan Rodgers. I know he thought it was a grenade. Goes down, maybe that's what you've got to do sometimes, throw grenades. But I thought it was brilliant what he said. And again, I'm actually wanting to put this to Hugh again, because I think he can elaborate on what I'm going to say better than anybody. I come across people in my work life and in my personal life, and they'll ask me why I'm travelling down to the football and why I'm going to the football after you've played your own sport or whatever, and you've thought, look, this is my time now to go down, and they won't understand. They'll say, I've never been to a football game in my life, and that's fair enough, but then they almost protrude that you shouldn't have that affection towards it, and basically they just don't get it, and that's fair enough. But I just think that it's more than that, and anyone that loves football and loves their club will, be able to explain that better. And I just think there's no better person to sort of say that than Hugh, because
I think you'd need to be fully on board with the original point. I think I think the emotions overwhelming you and Hugh.
But I understand that though. I mean, we have a family member who, and Ewan will know this, he lives in Mora. Now, Mora is as far to the west of the Highlands as it's possible to get, other than 2 miles up the road in Malling. And he's a Celtic season ticket holder. So that's an even greater distance to come. Today's a day of high emotion for Ewan and for all the Celtic supporters and what is going on at the club. But my guarantee to Ewan and everyone else is that when Brendan Rodgers came back down the road on the bus today from Dundee, he was planning next season, not next Sunday at Ibrox, not the Scottish Cup final. He would be looking at that, but he's already planning for next season, and he's given the 200% guarantee, to quote Brendan Rodgers, that he will be there. And we are very interesting and demanding season for Brendan Rodgers and Celtic and all supporters, but be assured he will be planning that right now.
Oh, listen, it was a day that no doubt means a lot, Gordon, to all the Celtic fans, seeing a season of hard work come to fruition.
Yeah, and it was a perfect way to finish it off, Gordon. I thought that, I said before the game kicked off, the way Dundee United have played this season, especially at Tannadice, it was going to be difficult. But once the first goal went in, once Callum McGregor and Hatate realised that, we had to change it a little bit, they started dominating from the middle of the park. Kuhn gets a double, Ida comes on. I thought his link-up play was good. They're just at that level, they're just a cut above when they pass the ball quickly and move, and nobody can really live with them.
Yep, maybe it doesn't matter in the end up, Mark, but today it will feel like it matters, in the sense that Celtic slipped up at St Johnstone, the manager wasn't happy, and since then they have put their foot to the floor and then some.
Well, it shows what hold he has over that group of players, that when he reiterates the standards or field and needs to, he gets a response instantly. And he obviously sets up his principles at the start of the season, and pre-season is huge for that, and telling the players, the new ones in particular, what the club is, what he is as a manager, what he expects. And that's why Celtic start so well regularly. But when it takes a wee dip, even when they're miles ahead, he's not scared to have a go. And the important thing is he gets a response like he did today in the past 2 weeks.
Thank you to Ewan on the line. Let's hear from Barry Ferguson after another disappointment, this time in Paisley.
The issue I've got is people don't fear playing Rangers now, whether that's at home or away. They enjoy coming to Ibrox teams, and then when you go away from home, teams look if they can bully you, run harder than you, getting about you. And that's something that again needs to change going forward. You need to build a strong team domestically, and I'm sure whoever takes the job will hopefully totally understand that.
Yeah, it's drawn 7, lost 7 for Rangers now this season, Gordon. It just, you can see where he's coming from there. The fear factor, is it gone for you?
100%, yeah. And it's gone because I think that every team now that lines up against Rangers fancy them to score. They're conceding too many goals, cheap goals, easy goals, and obviously not scoring enough at the other end. I think Barry's right. I think just listening to him there, I think he knows that obviously going forward it won't be him, but I always go back to it. I thought he's been absolutely brilliant for a club in this short spell, but he realises that someone else needs to take the reins and start afresh, get players in that he quite rightly knows, because he was amongst those great players at Rangers, that there was always a fear factor when you went to places like Ibrox and Rangers turn up, and he's correct, it's no longer there, and he's disappointed with that.
Because see, on the balance of goals, Mark, the most important stat is obviously the points column on the far right of the table. That is the most important by a mile. But in terms of goal difference, on the day that the title's been wrapped up, there is a goal difference gap of 47 between Celtic and Rangers, between first and second.
Yeah, and that shows you how tightly contested some of those wins have been for Rangers. just not good. You know what it's shown this season? It's shown the difference between good players and top players, because Rangers have good players, there's no doubt about that, but the top players are the ones with the mentality to match, to go to a good club. So when Celtic are recruiting these guys, they have to be sure that they can handle the pressures that's going to come with playing for a top club, and Rangers have fell short in that regard. And I think that's why Barry Ferguson is so irritated when his team drops points, because he had that mentality. He could deal with that pressure. And it's sometimes difficult when you're like him, probably, to think, well, these players are good, I can see them in training. But when the crowds are there, when the expectations are there, they underperform and underdeliver. So he's right in putting that out there, that they need to be much better in that respect. Quite interesting the way when he says there, whoever takes the job, first time I've kind of thought he knows he's not getting it. Yeah.
He knows the diagnosis of the situation, but he doesn't know if he's the doctor. And Rangers will have to go and get themselves a manager, because even Barry knows now it's not going to be him. But what a day of roller coaster emotions, a day of delight for Celtic, day of despondency for Rangers, day of despair for Hearts and their fans, another home defeat, and a day of joy for Tony Docherty in Dundee, for Motherwell and Michael Wimmer, and for Derek McInnes at Kilmarnock. So top, bottom, it's all building up towards a crescendo now, and I suspect that St Johnstone are down and Ross County will need to negotiate a playoff.
Because just on that, Gordon, I know it's not the be all and end all, but just as an example of the both ends of the pitch, this is by a mile the biggest goal difference gap there's been between Celtic and Rangers since Rangers' first season back up. When they came back up and they finished third, and they were miles behind, and Celtic went invincible. Since then, this is the biggest goal difference gap by an absolute mile that we've had in that entire time.
Yeah, and that's something that Rangers will need to address as well, Gordon, if they're going to get anywhere near the Celtic and the champions. That's one thing Brendan Rodgers prides himself on: clean sheets. Rangers don't have enough, and obviously the other end, with the form of Maeda and the front three and McGregor and midfield players, they've got goals all over the pitch.
Well, congratulations once again to Celtic. It has been a very interesting Scottish Premiership season. It is not over yet, but it is at the top. Celtic are champions, well done to them. Still so much to play for down the league. You'll look at that bottom six today, some sensational results and plenty more to come across the next few weeks. We will recap all the weekend's big talking points here on Monday night, 6 o'clock. Make sure you join us then and enjoy the rest of your Saturday in the company of the GBX.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Trywire.com. Save like a world-class keeper. Get a great price on your next car.
What's on TV? The answer is a lot. There's never been more choice over what to put on the box with an abundance of great new shows, but you can miss them all if you don't know where to look. And that's where the Pilot TV podcast comes in, your essential guide to every show that matters. Each week we sift through the very best in prestige TV to help you decide what's worth spending your time on and what isn't. So join me, James Dyer, as well as venerable TV critics Boyd Hilton and Kay Ribeiro, and let us help take the stress out of your downtime. The Pilot TV podcast, because you can't watch everything.